Imagine wielding an ability so mind-bendingly massive, it swallows the whole planet, leaving ancient deities literally quaking in pure dread, right before they face total annihilation. Then, with just a casual wave of your hand, you completely erase your haters from existence, like they are nothing but ash in the wind. Exactly who is this masked legend, staring dead into the eyes of towering abominations and dropping the coldest line? You do not even deserve my time? Flashback just a few minutes, and our main character was absolute garbage tier, getting clowned on, labeled a hopeless zero, and shrieking his head off in sheer panic. Staring directly at the Grim Reaper, trapped in a dead end with zero escape routes and zero hope, until a mysterious force finally responded to his frantic begging, a shadow being materialized out of thin air, blessing him with the twisted power of Genesis. And listen up, this is way beyond just grinding for extra points. We are talking about the raw talent to warp reality itself, grabbing straight-up garbage loot and forging them into supreme boss-level beasts. But there is a massive catch. Flexing this kind of magic drains your physical limits heavily. Now, he is out in the open, manipulating the time stream, using a colossal hourglass, locking eyes with celestial horrors that would literally melt a normal human brain, evolving from a nobody orphan into the deeply enigmatic Yellow Sovereign. This single teenager finessed the entire planet, all to ascend as a breathing deity. The narrative drops us right in as a squad of sketchy guys creep down a dark hallway, inside some creepy, run-down industrial complex. One unhinged dude who is clearly calling the shots shoots a glare toward a smashed-up doorway, signaling their getaway path. Marching through the corridor, he barks commands at his entire gang to stick close, rushing straight for the promised way out. But the exact millisecond they crank that handle, they absolutely lose their minds at the sight. Crossing that threshold, they collide head-on, with a gruesome pile of eyeballs, limbs, claws, and a massive puddle of red sauce, if you get what I am saying. Gazing further inside, they lock onto a radiant magic circle painted on the concrete, surrounded by cultists chanting some dark, twisted hexes, the type of forbidden magic strong enough to secure a date with your wildest crush. A couple of the goons assume this bizarre gathering is pulling a sick prank. However, in a split second, reality itself begins to aggressively warp and stutter. Smash cut to a teenager who mirrors our main character, clearly just waking up from a brutal night terror. He shoots up from his mattress, clutching his skull, fighting through what looks like a skull-splitting headache. The teen struggles to process the vision while grasping for his coffee cup. Scattered beside our protagonist are bizarre sketches of fiends, think one-eyed giants, tentacle beasts, and underworld demons, proving he either possesses a crazy creative mind or he is genuinely losing his grip on reality. Gripping his drink, the protagonist peers at his smartphone that is absolutely blowing up with calls. The screen flashes a critical breaking news alert, yet before he can even tap the headline, a disturbance past the glass makes him jump out of his skin. In a flash, a violent blast of air shatters the peace, blasting into the bedroom and locking our boy in a state of pure shock. Throwing on a hoodie, he resolves to investigate the rest of his crib to uncover the source of the chaos. Our hero creeps down the staircase, catching bizarre, unsettling echoes the moment his feet hit the living room floor. He steps straight into an actual nightmare scenario. A pack of shadowy, robed stalkers sense his vibe and instantly snap their necks in his direction. The protagonist turns to ice, realizing his survival odds just dropped to zero. Skipping the mental debate, he spins on his heels and sprints for his life. The teen dives into a nearby bedroom, aggressively throwing the wooden door shut. The millisecond the latch clicks, he collapses backward in total panic. Using his body weight to barricade the frame, he screams at the freaks to back off, warning them he is dialing the supernatural task force, basically the equivalent of snitching on rowdy roommates to the police. After a tense beat, drenched in cold sweat, and feeling his heartbeat in his throat, he prays the invaders finally dipped. Operating on pure adrenaline, our guy snatches his cell, preparing to ring the elite hunter unit. While he frantically mashes the screen and screams into the receiver, a swarm of grotesque, twisted fingers slither against the window pane. Frustration spikes, and he curses out the useless dispatchers. Out of nowhere, a colossal beast, rocking arachnid limbs, manifests right in his personal space, interrogating him about being the rat from the arachnid deity ceremony. The crimson-eyed horror pierces his soul, trash-talking him into the dirt and branding our hero as a weak, lower life form. A blood-curdling screech rips from the protagonist's lungs, confronting this literal glitch in reality. Driven by insane bravery or maybe just blind panic, he rushes the Titan, throwing a wild haymaker, demanding the freak to get out of his house. The monster casually catches his fist like it is nothing, mocking his pointless struggle. Despite being pinned down, our boy unleashes a string of insults, violently thrashing to break the hold. As he fights for freedom, the villain coldly declares his fate is sealed. Miraculously, The teen violently twists out of the grip, tearing down the hall at warp speed. He crashes into an alternate room, locking it down tight, paralyzed with dread. Suddenly, a repulsive blob cloaked in pulsating blisters obstructs his path, causing our guy to shriek at it to back the heck up. Staring down this foul mutation blocking the exit, he realizes he is completely cooked. He is officially cornered, totally out of options. Trapped in the heart of the industrial space, our terrified protagonist scans the shadows, begging to know who is lurking, right before an eerie voice booms, offering him a single chance at survival. Above him, an entity draped in a deep sapphire mantle slowly forms out of the thin air. Out of nowhere, the silhouette morphs into a blindfolded chick rocking a nun's habit. She's literally levitating, radiating this icy blue aura like some holy saint straight out of a fantasy game. Our boy is totally shook. His jaw practically hits the floorboards as he glares at this hovering chick, absolutely mind-blown by the crazy glitch in reality unfolding right in front of him. Shoddy casually drops her intro, claiming she's the so-called strange editing system, whatever the heck that even means in this wild situation. Completely lost, our guy grills her, asking what kind of weird setup this is. He straight up questions if she's playing the role of some dark goddess here to snatch his soul. Brushing off his panic, she tells him to forget the labels. She casually flexes a glowing orb of energy in her palm, dropping the ultimate bomb. This is his official beginner's reward. Bam! Out of thin air, a super shady treasure chest spawns right at his feet. The holy hologram breaks it down. He can mash up 5 random loot drops to forge his very own minion. As glowing cards materialize, our guy squints, wondering what kind of gotcha pull he's about to make. She hypes him up, explaining that the final beast relies entirely on his recipe. She even hits him with that main character energy, dubbing his vibe the chaotic hand of creation. The kid's cheeks turn a little red from the mega praise, awkwardly muttering that she's totally glazing him right now. Boom! The violent smashing against the bedroom door instantly snaps him out of his little ego trip, serving a brutal reality check that he's still on tonight's menu. Flexing the glowing deck, he asks if he can just YOLO slam them all together. The system gives him the green light, but throws up a massive red flag about a hidden catch. The floating nun drops some wisdom. A trash combo equals a garbage spawn. She compares it to tossing fresh strawberries into a black roast coffee, just a straight-up disaster. Our boy cringes at the whack analogy, especially since the heavy wooden door is literally seconds away from splintering into a million pieces. Slapping on a total poker face like he's a certified genius, he grips the deck and smirks, claiming he's already cooked up the ultimate blueprint. Standing dead center in a glowing rune circle, our guy kicks off the summoning sequence. He violently demands total loyalty from his new beast, while the floating chick locks in the command. Going full edgelord, he crowns himself the messiah destined to bless this rotten world, swearing to warp reality itself with his so-called chaotic touch. Sweating bullets, he thrusts his arms forward and screams for his debut beast to awaken, totally bracing himself for some god-tier behemoth. The smoke clears, and bro gets a tiny, derpy, yellow balloon with a creepy smiley face painted on it. A basic 2-star fear balloon. Our guy just freezes, looking like an absolute clown, staring at this pathetic floaty toy in pure shock. Getting heated, he rants that he needed a savage predator, not a cheap spirit Halloween prop. The system tries to gaslight him into thinking it's a massive win, but he snaps, screeching about how this is a total L. Suddenly, the barricade shatters. A humongous arachnid crashes into the room, hissing that their little hangout session is officially canceled. Panicking, our dude screams at his literally weeping balloon, crying out about how the bug is insanely overpowered. The freakish predator lunges straight for their throats, screeching for them to drop dead, but the flimsy yellow balloon somehow finds its guts and torpedoes directly at the beast's face. Out of nowhere, the system chimes in. The little guy just leveled up. A skill tree flashes before his eyes. Stunned but desperate, our protagonist instantly locks in the absorption aura and the Hellfire Whip abilities. In a literal blink, a blazing lash of pure fire violently slashes across the giant spider's ugly mug. The bug was definitely not ready for that kind of heat. It slams into the hardwood with a nasty crunch, coughing up dust and visibly tweaking over what just blasted it. Looking down at the inferno crackling in his grip, the kid is totally mind-blown by his own crazy DPS. The arachnid locks eyes with him, radiating absolute murder, questioning if this punk is secretly one of those elite awakened hunters. Hearing this, our guy glances back at the floating nun, asking if he just officially joined the superhero squad. Seething with rage, the monstrous bug screeches that awakened humans are a massive pain, vowing to cancel his subscription to life right then and there. Squeaking out a bite-sized war cry, the yellow balloon zooms in for round 2. It slaps itself right over the beast's massive eyes, sticking like glue. The spider thrashes around blindly, aggressively, trying to peel this annoying pest off its face. Catching the bug slipping, our hero hypes up his little balloon decoy, ordering it to keep acting as the ultimate distraction. Zero hesitation. The guy vaults right over the giant bug, charging up his blazing weapon for the finisher. He swings that flaming cord down with insane force, screaming Hellfire Whip at the top of his lungs for those extra cinematic style points. Caught in a massive burst of flames, the monster shrieks for its dark master before getting deep fried to a crisp. Breathing heavy, our boy checks the glowing interface, watching the system hype him up for scoring a rare poison set drop. Flashing a huge, relieved grin, he glances at his weird pet, fully convinced he just survived the worst of it. But a blood-curdling scream from the streets outside instantly nukes his victory high. Sprinting over, he rips the curtains back, trying to pinpoint the source of the horrific shrieking. His blood runs cold when he spots a whole squad of those mutated spiders, scaling the skyscrapers like cockroaches, swarming the block. The sheer number of them has him absolutely terrified. The concrete jungle is a total war zone. Sticky webs coat the streets, beasts are crawling everywhere, and the whole scene is straight up apocalyptic. Down below, a dude wrapped tight in silk screams, begging the monsters to spare him, sobbing that he has a family. In an alley, another survivor cowers in pure dread, crying out for the elite special division to pull up when they're literally needed the most. The camera pans to show dozens of civilians bundled up in human-sized cocoons, prepped like a sick midnight snack. One of the creepy crawlies inches closer to chow down on a helpless target. Back up in the apartment, our guy realizes something is insanely off. The city's automatic defense grid never booted up. He connects the dots, flashing back to his dead cell service, and realizes this whole invasion had to be an inside job. Out of nowhere, his squeaky balloon chimes in, warning him they need to act fast, or the entire downtown area is going to be sacrificed. His playful energy vanishes. He locks in, realizing that if the actual god of these freaks touches down, if that happens, it is literally good game for everybody. The tiny balloon tries pitching in to hoist the crate, but absolutely faceplants right into the edge, proving brute force is definitely not its vibe. The container crashes down, leaving the floating blob stranded, just rolling around on the floor. Watching his tiny summon whine, our guy gets irritated, wondering if this thing is actually a 2-star tier, or if he straight up got scammed. He tries hyping up Xiao Qi, gassing it up to believe it can totally wreck tougher enemies. Catching that little ego boost, the blob bursts into tears and starts doing frantic donuts in the air, looking equally tragic and hilarious. But then, it just snaps, the crying stops, its eyes glow blood crimson, and a massive wave of pure pressure erupts. That shockwave detonates, rippling through the entire skyline and shattering the air above the rooftops. Down below, the city is literally burning while beasts tear up the block. A suited-up strike team from the Special Division finally pulls up, spraying lead right into the horde. One dude holding a massive heavy machine gun just holds down the trigger, screaming at the top of his lungs, in pure rage for the freak to go straight to hell. But the Titan just tanks it, swinging a massive claw that launches the squad into the air. Another operative shrieks for his buddy, Old Lee, while the rest of the crew freezes in absolute horror at the slaughter. Suddenly, this humongous, deeply hideous spider drops in, dripping with toxic venom sacs. The freak cackles and announces itself as Gusa, a priest repping the spider god, demanding they all bow down to some deity named Atlach Nacha. The strike commander throws his hand up, ordering Team 2 to fall back before they become literal bug snacks, commanding the Rank 4 Awakened to prep for a brutal clash. 3 magic users unleash their ultimate spells at the exact same time, but the colossal freak does not even flinch, spitting out a twisted laugh as the explosions hit its armor, generating nothing but some flashy smoke and useless fireworks. The commander's face drops in sheer disbelief. Seeing the monster brush off the combo like it was dust, he gets insanely frustrated, stressing over how a squad of rank 4 and 5 elites is supposed to drop this raid boss, silently panicking over where the heck General Li Shen is. He immediately barks at his squad to keep pouring on the damage, screaming that this nightmare cannot breach the West District and that holding Hang City is their absolute top priority. The war zone turns into pure chaos, with the boss ordering his shooters to keep the bullet rain coming, while begging the Awakened to spam their heaviest abilities with zero chill. Eating multiple direct hits to the face, the giant arachnid actually squeals in agony, yet still has the audacity to trash-talk them as weak. Right at that moment, a blazing whip materializes out of absolute nowhere, snagging the arachnid's massive leg, as a booming voice declares that this bug and its master have officially overstayed their welcome. The giant beast gets totally blindsided when a sudden blast detonates right against its shell. Snapping its head up, the beast spots a shadowy silhouette standing on a skyscraper and growls, demanding to know what punk just sniped him. Chilling on the ledge, our hero poses, with his burning whip alongside the fear balloon, which is currently engulfed in flames too. The mutated spider glares daggers at the rooftop, roaring about who dared to ruin its feast. Rocking a mask and gripping his weapon, our guy coldly states that a mere pet does not get to talk to him, demanding the master show up instead. That completely sets the monster off. It calls him an arrogant brat, asking if this dude seriously thinks he is some untouchable god. It spits that this fake edgy persona means absolutely nothing to the almighty spider god. But up on the high ground, the hero and his tiny sidekick literally just laugh off the threat. Our boy roasts the creature, saying it went full insect mode the second its brain cells died. Taking that completely personal, the humongous beast shrieks in pure rage, commanding its creepy crawly swarm to scale the wall and eat this dude alive. Moving like lightning, the horde scrambles up the concrete, surging like a tidal wave of fangs straight for the hero, who is just vibing casually on the edge. Down on the street, one of the operatives spots the incoming swarm and starts completely freaking out, screaming for the masked guy to bail before he turns into a quick snack. But our boy does not even flinch, just stretching out a hand toward his floating buddy. He drops the cold command, Xiao Qi, time to cook, trigger the absorption aura. The tiny blob locks in immediately. A deeply terrifying dark vibe gathers around them, while our guy grips his lash, ready to clear the lobby. In a fraction of a second, the energy erupts, projecting a massive magical domain that blankets the entire skyscraper before crashing down like a meteor. The main boss and its nasty little minions get completely swallowed by the shockwave, trapped with zero escape routes. The squad commander watches with his jaw on the floor, while the backblast sends his teammates skidding across the pavement. He instantly realizes they are witnessing some next-level, Morningstar tier firepower right before their eyes. A smaller insect screeches in pure terror right before the dark wave erases it from existence. Seeing his army getting cooked, Gusa, realizing he messed with the wrong guy, starts panicking. The spider boss admits this is 100% a Morningstar-grade nuke and completely loses its mind, terrified of getting deleted right before its major evolution. Through all the destruction, Xiao Qi just keeps pumping out the dark aura, maxing out the damage output. Realizing it is literally game over, the giant freak lets out one final, blood-curdling shriek. As its monstrous body crumbles into ash, the arachnid rages over, taking such a massive, humiliating L. A deafening crack echoes out as the beast literally detonates, totally wiped from existence by that blinding surge of energy, fading into nothing but space dust. The operative just stands there, totally shook, trying to wrap his head around that absolute god-tier flex. Connecting the dots, he realizes the masked dude has to be an ally. Catching the mysterious savior preparing to dip, the agent desperately throws his hand up and screams, begging him to hold up so he can get a name and drop a proper thank you. Our boy glances back, low-key annoyed that everyone is so obsessed with his identity, weighing whether he should actually drop the lore. He lets out a deep breath. Sure, teaming up with the special division might score him a fat paycheck, but he instantly hits the brakes on that fantasy. His crippling social anxiety kicks in, flashing mental images of paparazzi swarming his front porch. Plus, there is zero chance he is becoming a lab rat for unhinged scientists wanting to dissect an unawakened superhuman. Pivoting away and fading into the thick fog, he drops the absolute coldest one-liner. I possess no name, nor do I require one, for I am simply a ghost this world left behind. Okay, absolute cinematic cinema. The agent is left completely speechless, his brain short-circuiting, as he glares at the now vacant concrete. Deeply hooked by that cryptic exit, the operative starts overthinking the dialogue, hyping himself up with the theory that a nameless entity has to be some sort of ancient, mythological titan. Out of nowhere, a figure shadows up behind him, demanding to know if the dark deity's summoning is finally busted. Almost jumping out of his skin, the operative spins around, joining his squad in saluting General Li Shan, who just showed up completely fashionably late to the war zone. The commander claims he bolted over the second the distress beacon hit, immediately pressing them on whether the arachnid priest pulled a vanishing act or if the freak was already sent to the graveyard. Pointing straight at the pulverized crater, the operative updates his superior that the raid is officially a wrap. Glancing at the scattered monster guts, he comes clean, confessing the threat got neutralized, but they basically did zero of the heavy lifting. The camera pans across the dead quiet skyline, radiating that eerie, post-apocalyptic aesthetic. General Li completely zones out, chewing on our protagonist's edgy sign-off, a ghost this world left behind. Catching his boss glitching out, the operative asks if that quote raised any red flags. The commander begins brewing a wild conspiracy, guessing that if the masked dude wasn't capping and literally stomped an evil god for fun, they are definitely dealing with a forbidden existence. The poor agent basically flatlines, sweating bullets at the idea of an anomaly lurking out there that makes a literal demon god look like a joke. Meanwhile, strolling across the skyline with his trusty balloon, our boy reflects on this absolutely unhinged shift. Just 30 minutes ago, he was a total NPC. Suddenly, he slaps his forehead, realizing he straight up ghosted his main side quest. smashing the demonic shrine those freaks pieced together. He calculates that even though his terror-inducing balloon sent the fanatics sprinting for their lives, leaving that cursed setup intact is a massive disaster waiting to happen. The surrounding skyscrapers are absolutely drenched in sticky silk, cementing the nightmarish cleanup job the local authorities are stuck with. Our hero and his floating sidekick navigate a pitch-black corridor straight out of a survival thriller, with fresh crimson splattered across the concrete. Pushing forward, he finally locks onto the target room. He shoves the heavy door open, exposing the pure nightmare fuel waiting inside. The setup is completely unhinged, a glowing occult sigil, flickering wax, lifeless casualties, and a deeply unsettling monument parked right in the center. Staring down at one of the fallen, he tightens his grip on his weapon, whispering that he is already dishing out payback on the scum who did this, so they can finally clock out and find peace. Zero hesitation, he cracks his whip, the leather igniting with a raw, blinding aura. With one god-tier slash, he engulfs the entire chamber in roaring flames, absolutely torching the demonic sigil and the horrific evidence. The inferno sweeps over a nearby casualty, purging the dark magic as the entire crime scene crumbles into gray powder. The duo then locks eyes with that creepy centerpiece, radiating major red flags. Getting a macro view, he clocks the jet black obsidian, instantly remembering that jewelers drop heavy cash on that stuff for warding charms. He snags a smooth orb right off the monument, calculating that worst-case scenario, it feels premium enough to flip on the black market for a solid bag. Giving the sculpture a proper shakedown, he notices it's giving off this weirdly hypnotic scent, betting the raw materials alone cost a literal fortune. Pivoting to his floating companion, he pings the interface to check if he can trigger his loot drain skill on the artifact. The prompt flashes a glorious approval. Thrusting his palm forward, he shouts the command, sparking a neon geometric ring right around the monument. Grinning like a menace, our protagonist mentally celebrates scoring the epic drop, but the dopamine hit instantly gets crushed by a sickening fracture echoing right behind him. His smug smirk warps into absolute terror. The concrete and drywall start splintering like shattered glass, leaving our boy totally clueless, screaming internally about what kind of glitch in the Matrix this is. Out of nowhere, reality literally breaks, violently launching him backward into an endless abyss. Shrieking his lungs out, he plummets through the shadow realm before aggressively faceplanting into a colossal, sticky web, taking massive fall damage. Tangled up like prey, all he can do is rage over his shattered spine, staring in utter defeat at the thick silk clinging to his fingers. He touches the sticky strands, and it clicks this whole room is actually a pocket dimension. Suddenly, a sickening crunch echoing in the dark makes his blood run cold, so he whips around, bracing for an absolute nightmare. A colossal, bone-white skull with hollowed-out sockets slowly breaches the shadows, locking onto him like he is just a speck of dirt. The behemoth morphs into a grotesque arachnid, and our boy instantly clocks it. This is the legendary eldritch horror, Atlach Nacha in the flesh. Sprouting a million legs and blazing crimson eyes, the demonic spider glares daggers at the pathetic mortal trespassing in its domain. Crushed against the floor by pure killing intent, he scrambles to look away, knowing that even 1 second of eye contact with this beast will literally delete him from existence. Clutching his skull, he violently thrashes around, because the ringing in his ears is absolutely deafening, making it feel like his cranium is about to snap right down the middle. Without warning, gross, pulsating blisters erupt all over his skin, acting like some alien parasite is trying to claw its way out of his guts. Crimson scythes violently shred through his spine from the inside, forcing a blood-curdling screech from his lungs as his body undergoes this cursed mutation. But right before he goes full monster, a gigantic pair of scissor-like blades crash down from the heavens, burying deep into the concrete right in front of him. The system chimes in, flagging an evil god threat. Defense protocols are online. He is completely lost, wondering if this absolute unit of a weapon is actually his system manifesting. A holographic woman projects a massive force field, tanking the oppressive aura of the spider deity, while gripping her giant weapon. She coldly states they are bailing from this dream dimension, and starts ticking down from 10, telling him to brace for impact. As the numbers drop, our guy is completely shook, realizing his system is insanely OP. With just one swing, she sliced the spiritual link to the cosmic horror and completely cured his demonic infection. Flashing a cocky grin, realizing he has ultimate plot armor now, he completely drops the terrified act. He violently launches himself forward, snatching the air, shouting at Atlach that he refuses to leave empty-handed and is grabbing a little parting gift. The cosmic beast flinches in pure rage as our absolute mad lad rips a blindingly bright thread straight out of its eyeball. The dimension starts fracturing like glass, signaling their flawless getaway. Both the system and our boy watch as a massive glowing rift tears open. The clock hits 0, and right as gravity yanks him through the void, he casually throws up a peace sign, hitting the enraged deity with a sarcastic "see ya." He gets blasted out of a blinding portal, slamming back into reality. Sitting on his own floor, he takes a deep breath to ground himself, chilling right next to his digital companion, while his little balloon pet wobbles around looking completely seasick from the dimensional jump. Clenching the stolen glowing silk, he hypes himself up over the insane loot drop and takes a breather, realizing he is back in his apartment, completely untouched. The cloaked guardian gives him props for surviving a literal god, dropping the notification that he cleared stage 2 out of 5 for the survivor milestone, officially bumping his clearance rank to 1. A glowing holographic window flashes in his face, displaying a fragment of the Dreamland Bridge, an ultra-rare artifact that grants one-time access back to the Nightmare Realm. The flavor text hits him with the ultimate sarcasm, asking if he wants round 2 with the cosmic horror. He just strokes his chin, utterly baffled by how this whole clearance ranking works. The digital guide breaks it down with zero filter. Every time he ranks up, he scores a mystery loot box. The catch? It could drop S-tier gear, or it could be a complete scam with zero loot. He immediately loses his mind, raging about what kind of trash-tier gacha system hands out empty boxes. Squinting at the glowing web he swiped, he demands the interface run a scan and drop the lore on this shiny string. The UI flashes the raw stats. It is a legendary 5-star drop from a twisted eldritch abomination that only cosplays as an arachnid. Plus, it packs raw divine energy that can completely scramble human brains. He is absolutely shell-shocked, wrapping his head around the fact that a measly piece of string is ranked 5 stars. He immediately gets greedy, doing the math that if he literally dismembers the boss, or rips out its core next time, he is guaranteed a massive 6-star payout. The virtual assistant keeps dropping knowledge bombs, revealing that even trash-tier drops from these beings can birth Morningstar-level beasts that could literally nuke a metropolis. On top of that, he leeches 10% of his summon's raw stats. Pacing around his bedroom, his brain goes into overdrive, realizing if he just grinds for legendary drops, he is going to become an untouchable deity. Gripping the glowing string, he flashes a devious smirk, deciding it is probably smarter to keep this insane power-up low-key for the time being. Out of absolutely nowhere, violent banging shakes his front door, making his heart drop straight into his stomach. He yells out, asking what kind of psycho is knocking like that. A stern voice barks back, identifying as the feds from the special division, demanding he unlock the door. Hearing that it is the paranormal, Cop sends him into a total meltdown, so he grabs his floating monster, ordering Shiachi to stay out of sight. Once his chaotic little buddy is concealed, he creeps over to the entryway to see who is crashing his vibe. Yanking the handle, he makes dead eye contact with a smiling cop. She flashes her badge as Officer Ning, casually asking if he caught any of the absolute chaos that the cultists and mutants just unleashed inside his apartment complex. He freezes up for a beat, his eyes locking onto her hands because things feel incredibly sus. Her fingers are hovering right over her holster, fully prepared to blast him if he makes one wrong move. Throwing on his best terrified civilian act, he violently nods and starts spilling a fake sob story. He swears on his life that he just locked himself in the wardrobe and played dead before the nightmare creatures even breached his floor. Still catching her breath, Officer Ning hits him with a quick sweep. Zero evil energy detected. Pegging him as just another broke civilian, she asks to inspect the apartment. He gives her the green light. Standing in a literal war zone, our guy straight up asks if insurance covers exploded drywall, tossing in a quick question about whether the spiders are finally dead. Ning hits him with a brutal reality check. He is insanely lucky to be breathing, considering his neighbor basically melted into a human candle. Mix that with the leftover webbing, and our boy just drops a weak O. Hitting her radio, Ning calls in a confirmed survivor. 7th floor, 0 scratches, 0 dark energy. Command gives her props and the green light to head back to base. Signing off, she immediately starts venting. She is running on absolute fumes, complaining that the squad is ridiculously understaffed. She groans about having to track down some rogue chief carrying a literal yellow balloon, but Lu Yu awkwardly interrupts her, telling her the mic is totally hot. A furious voice blasts through the comms, probably that exact chief, screaming at Ning to drag her butt back to HQ. She has exactly 5 minutes to explain herself. Pure panic sets in. She stutters out a sloppy apology and sprints out the door like her life depends on it. Watching her disappear down the corridor, Lu Yu shuts the door and lets out a massive exhale, hyped that the interrogation is over. Then he freezes, hand on his chin, pure anxiety washing over his face. Did he leave the stove burning? Cut to the nighttime skyline. The city is an absolute ghost town. Down below, a hand snatches a piece of paper off the concrete. It features this totally cryptic symbol. A mysterious woman grips the page, flashing a smirk that screams pure menace. Next up, Cleanup crews are out here battling the leftover city blazes. On the screen, a news anchor breaks down last night's massive disaster. Up in the North District, the official body count just hit 115 casualties. With exactly 74 survivors, authorities are still digging for clues. Meanwhile, our boy is just trying to score some desperate shut-eye, but the street noise makes it literally impossible. Randomly, his own pet monster spawns right in his face, aggressively shaking him awake. Lu Yu snaps up, instantly telling the annoying balloon to kick rocks. With the weird creature still buzzing in his ear, he finally sits up, stretching out a massive yawn. He is just trying to reboot his brain after surviving pure chaos. Glancing past his summon at the giant crater in his bedroom, he tries to place a weird sound. He writes it off as the wind, realizing he needs to dial up a contractor stat. Standing right on the edge of the busted wall, he throws on his jacket, but way down on the pavement, eyes are glued to him. The camera pans down to a girl. She is deadlocked on his exact apartment. Cut to the daytime streets, where Lu Yu is casually navigating the concrete jungle. Pausing at an intersection, he scans the skyline, trying to jog his memory about where that repair shop actually is. Out of nowhere, a female voice shouts his name. He pivots, totally clueless about who is calling him out. It is Tong Wan. She slides up and grills him about why he is wandering the East District. His brain buffers for a second before it finally clicks. He casually mentions his apartment got blasted into literal Swiss cheese, so he is hunting for drywall guys. Instantly stressing out, she asks if he took any damage. He flashes a chill smile and denies it. Without missing a beat, Tong Wan drops an invite for a coffee date. He locks it in instantly. I mean, nobody in their right mind turns down free food. The duo hits the crosswalk side by side. The vibe is painfully quiet. Mid-bite at the cafe, our boy gets super self-conscious, low-key stressing over why she is invading his personal space. Back in high school, they literally never spoke, making this entire setup feel incredibly sus. We get a quick flashback of her, surrounded by a horde of mega fanboys hyping up her looks and sports stats. In his head, they operate in two completely different universes. Cut to his own high school era. Just him, isolated at his desk, constantly sketching alone. The whole class used to whisper about the weird orphan kid with the creepy art. Snapping back to reality, he pushes the trauma away to lock in on the present. Then it hits him. He just looted a massive stash of drops from those giant spiders, giving him enough materials to craft a brand new summon. Mid-chew, the dude has a total galaxy brain moment. He freezes up, completely paralyzed by a genius strategy. Frozen solid right there on the pavement, he literally looks like his soul just ascended to a higher dimension. Tongwan realizes his brain just short-circuited and asks what is going on. He looks deep in thought, mental gears spinning out of control over his next move. Out of nowhere, he spins around and starts walking off, tossing a lazy wave over his shoulder. He drops a quick excuse about being busy and straight-up ghosts, stranding her on the curb with a vague, "catch you later." Flying solo again, she glares at his photo on her screen, mentally roasting her own completely trash flirting skills. Standing on a balcony, she stresses over coming off way too aggressive. Did he catch on to her hidden agenda? Stepping into a dark bedroom with a mysterious lump on the mattress, she shakes off the doubt. A confident smirk creeps onto her face. With an unhinged glint in her eyes, she convinces herself the mission was an absolute win. Her expression morphs into pure, unfiltered obsession, totally convinced that our guy is completely clueless about her real plan. She slams a hidden switch on the wall. The lights flicker on, exposing her absolute shrine of crazy. The camera pans across an entire wall plastered with secret snapshots of our main guy. Standing in front of this stalker shrine, she smirks. Guess who is back? Lu Yu. We pan over to glass display cases packed with his stolen belongings, meticulously tagged with exact dates. We are talking worn sleepwear, a chewed-up ink pen, some random scribbled paper, and, literally a glass jar stuffed with his hair clippings. This whole bedroom is basically a cult temple dedicated entirely to him. Life-size standees, plushies, and body pillows with his face on them crowd every single corner. Slowly, her slender fingers creep toward the top rack. She snatches a neatly stacked shirt that she definitely swiped from his laundry basket. Burying her face into the fabric, she squeezes it against her chest, and her face flushes beet red, absolutely floating on cloud nine. Tangled in her sheets while suffocating his belongings in a death grip, she breathes out his name into the dark. The sheer down-bad energy radiating off her is insane, though low-key, it is painfully relatable. Smash cut back to our boy wandering the city sidewalks. A sudden, icy chill crawls up his neck, that exact gut feeling when someone is burning holes into the back of your head. He snaps his head around, totally baffled. He just shrugs it off, guessing a random cold front blew in out of nowhere. Fast forward to him kicking back at his apartment, throwing his arms up for a massive, satisfying stretch. He hypes himself up, bragging that his to-do list is crushed and the maintenance guys will fix the joint by next week. Suddenly, his weird floating pet, Xiaoqi, zooms straight at his face. He swats the balloon away, telling the little guy to take a breather since his own stomach is still running on empty. Swiping his hand through the air, glowing holographic menus pop up so he can review that sweet, sweet loot stash from yesterday's grind. The inventory window scrolls down. We are looking at a rare 1-star venom pouch, 5 standard drops, an epic 3-star mutated embryo, that insane 5-star divine spider silk, and the absolute crown jewel, a morning star tier egg. The lore text reveals this thing dropped from a broodmother who was literally mid-evolution. A twisted, dark magic and a sinister deity's leftover aura completely hijacked its DNA, infusing the core with a stupidly broken ceiling of power. Get this, the rank does not even measure its current state, but the sheer terrifying monster it is guaranteed to morph into. Staring dead at the glowing text, our guy scratches his head, completely clueless as to how he managed to bag such a god-tier drop. His brain flashes back to that hulking, nightmare-fuel arachnid he threw down with, and his jaw drops realizing that beefed-up tank was actually a lady. He cannot wrap his head around how the female versions of these bugs are built like absolute units. Cupping the glowing orb in his palms, he tries to sense a heartbeat before pinging his magical AI for some customer service. The glowing helper materializes with maximum drip, boasting that it never takes a day off. Our hero questions if this orb is technically a breathing entity yet. The digital guide breaks it down, stating unhatched cores are strictly classified as raw crafting ingredients. There is a catch, though the second that shell starts cracking, the tampering window slams shut. Gripping the orb tighter, it clicks in his brain. He is officially on a timer and needs to move fast before the beast wakes up. Flashing a grin, he taps his floating balloon companion, calling him the ultimate wingman. He pitches the idea of feeding these epic drops to his pet for a massive glow-up. The AI shoots him down instantly, hitting him with the insufficient level warning, and nudges him to forge a brand new summon from scratch, leaving our guy sweating that his original buddy might become dead weight. A swirling aura of raw magic erupts around him as he barks the command to boot up the creation interface. Thrusting his palm forward like an absolute boss, he orders the interface to pull the shattered timepiece and the venom pouch from his vault. The trio of ingredients hover midair, radiating intense light as the crafting sequence kicks off. But boom! The whole thing forcefully rejects, blasting the artifacts across the room. Stumbling backward, he demands to know why the fusion completely tanked. The glowing helper corrects him, insisting it was not a glitch. The core essentially devoured the energy and hollowed itself out, while the metallic clock face sizzles violently on the hardwood floor. The guide drops heavy lore, revealing that the antique held the bloodline of a rival dark deity, and these cosmic beings have massive beef with one another. It even name-drops a duo of immortals who threw hands purely out of petty spite. Our boy's eyes light up at the juicy drama, and asks if he is basically dealing with a supernatural turf war right now. And yeah, chat, I know exactly what kind of wild theories are cooking in your heads. The AI assures him that once he grinds enough experience to bypass the level cap, he can weaponize their divine hatred, forcing rival gods to chill inside a single host. But for today's crafting session, the meta is simple. Let the premium tier drops swallow the trash tier loot. The helper tosses the glowing orb back to him, and he nods, totally vibing with the strategy. He immediately benches the divine thread, keeping it in the vault for a rainy day. The play right now is strictly combining the arachnid embryo with the venom pouch. He snaps his fingers, ordering the interface to reboot the synthesis. Channeling his inner wizard, he reignites the sequence, causing a literal hurricane of raw arcane force to rip through the room, enveloping the drops. The ingredients violently collapse into a blinding white sun, fusing flawlessly into a sick new asset. A notification chimes, hyping him up for unlocking his backup companion, the Void Shadow Spider Egg. Rocking an insanely high 4-star perfection grade, with a 30-day incubation timer slapped on it. This immediately triggers his gamer brain, making him stress over whether his team size is hard-capped at a duo. Hungry for answers, he clicks into the fresh bestiary profile. The holographic text outlines some absolutely busted skills. First up, Void Venom, a toxic nuke that melts enemies while scrambling radar completely. Then there is Shadow Slaves, literally spawning an army of ninja spiders on command. Oh, and Void Chest, a bottomless subspace pocket to hoard all his legendary gear. Standing in the middle of his apartment, our guy is internally screaming, realizing that hatching as a Morningstar tier with a kit this stacked is just illegal for the current meta. He clocks the 30-day wait period, viewing it as the perfect training arc to research global power rankings and guild politics. Meanwhile, the AI showers him with praise for a god-tier craft and casually drops the Elite Editor trophy on his screen. But wait, there is a massive bonus. He gets to siphon 10% of the beast's raw stats and permanently equip 2 of its abilities to his own body. But as his eyes scan the final datasheet, his blood runs cold, and sheer panic sets in. "Wait, hold up," he stutters. His brain suddenly replays that absolute nightmare fuel, his neighbor shrieking, inflating like a gruesome balloon, and getting completely swallowed by glowing crimson energy. Boom. The MC's pupils snap blood red. An agonizing shriek rips from his throat as a pitch-black, deeply cursed aura swallows him whole. Thrashing around like crazy, reality hits him hard. Is his own summon's raw juice actually about to game over him? His skin stretches, mutating exactly like the neighbor did. He levitates off the floor, absolute terror painted across his face, while Xiaoqi just stares at him, absolutely losing its mind. Glowing crimson veins snake up his throat. Survival mode kicks in, he needs a fix, and he needs it right this second. If he chokes now, his own monster's mana is going to obliterate him. His mind races. How the heck do you stop an overinflated tire from popping? Deflating isn't an option, and there's definitely no secret DNA hack to magically purge this overload. Corrupted markings map across his cheeks, but his gaze sharpens into pure steel. It is do or die time. Time to pull the ultimate reckless flex. Hellfire whip, he roars. Instantly, a scorching lasso of pure inferno explodes straight out of his forearm. The blaze instantly devours the entire room. He howls in agony, vomiting out a completely unhinged shockwave of stockpiled mana. That explosive burst is so insane it rockets into the clouds, completely wrapping a skyscraper in blazing light. Down on the streets, absolute pandemonium breaks out. Some dude screams about dark magic, while another bystander instantly blames the local cultists for throwing another apocalyptic tantrum. Flat on the floor, and finally back to his base stats, the tension drains from his muscles. He drags himself onto his knees, completely drained but grinning like a maniac. He actually did it. Purging that insane mana pool just permanently buffed his max capacity. But of course, the system entity pops up to roast his reckless play. She flat out tells him his current meat suit is way too squishy to handle that kind of pressure, and honestly, he cannot argue. She warns him to chill out next time, before he literally explodes into confetti. Inhaling sharply, an ice-cold droplet of sweat slides down his temple as he forcefully reboots his scrambled brain. After surviving that near-death experience, the entity prompts him for his loot selection. He locks in his choices, Mark of Time and Shadow Servant. Because his offensive build is already locked and loaded, the system guide just hits him with a simple bet. Swirling midnight energy consumes our guy as the fresh abilities start downloading straight into his neural network. A literal glowing clock tattoo instantly brands itself onto the back of his hand. Pulling up his stats panel, he confirms the level up. Officially, a 1-star tamer, stacked with fresh summons and broken skills. Pivoting toward Xiaoqi, he drops the naming reveal for their new spider teammate, Xiao Ba, because it has 8 legs. Groundbreaking creativity, honestly. The floating slime buddy starts vibrating violently, throwing an absolute fit of jealousy because sharing the spotlight is apparently a crime. A sharp knock shatters the moment. He freezes, internally groaning. Awesome. Who is crashing my session now? That blonde cop appears in his doorway, smirking. Hey there. Catch any of that chaos going down outside? Throwing on his best innocent face, our guy plays it clueless. He hits her with a solid, "What chaos?" She instantly narrows her eyes, scanning his drenched clothes and wondering how he missed a literal sky laser. Sweating harder than a guilty suspect in an interrogation room, he stutters out a lame excuse about doing some hardcore cardio. 0% convinced, she orders him aside to sweep the apartment. He immediately goes on the defensive, loudly complaining about his constitutional rights. Brushing past his drama, the detective pushes her way inside. He trails right behind her, his anxiety spiking through the roof. She is visibly baffled. Dispatch swore the anomaly traced right back to this exact block. While she actively tears the place apart, the little slime stealthily tucks itself into her blind spot. Xiaoqi carefully inches toward the floor, playing a high-stakes game of stealth because getting spotted would equal instant game over. Flashing a bright grin, the cop finally chalks it up to bad intel and throws out a quick apology. Letting out a massive internal sigh, he delivers the textbook good citizen response. All good, just doing my civic duty. Before bouncing, she tosses out a casual warning to dial back the fitness routine, dropping a reality check that girls are not exactly into the drenched gym bro aesthetic. She even throws him a bone for actually remembering her surname, Ning. The literal millisecond the door clicks shut, he exhales a breath he did not know he was holding. That was way too close for comfort. His relief shatters. He frantically scans the room. Where the heck did Xiaoqi vanish to? Cut straight to our boy sprinting down the corridor like an absolute lunatic, screaming at his brain-dead deer to get its furry behind back to base. Fast forward to the dead of night. He is strolling through an empty, dimly lit alley, making moves toward the underground pet market. Inside the shop, the clerk is aggressively glued to his screen, absolutely sweating a match of Clash Royale. The guy barely mutters at him to browse. Our MC just gives a single, subtle nod, an unhinged little smirk creeping onto his face. He zeroes in on this fluffy white bunny, knowing for a fact the distracted cashier is completely oblivious. Locking eyes with the clueless furball, he officially dubs it test subject number 1 for his wild new theory. Extending a palm, he triggers Shadow Servant. Dark tendrils snatch up the tiny animal. The rabbit gets dragged into the abyss, dropping a few terrified squeaks before completely melting into the void. A split second later, the creature spits back out into reality. Except now, it is noticeably bulkier, and its eyes are radiating a heavy, demonic red glow. A massive grin spreads across his face. The hack actually worked. Turns out, this unhinged strategy stems from a massive brain blast he had earlier. During a flashback, while analyzing the skill tree, he started cooking up a theory about spawning humanoid minions. His inner tactician goes completely off the rails, realizing that securing human-level shadows would be an absolute game-changer, perfect for dodging suspicion. Not to mention, these guys were the absolute ultimate triple-threat lethal brawlers, personal chefs, and top-tier masseuses all rolled into one. Cut to his trashed bedroom, where he is brainstorming exactly how to harvest human shadows. Sure, snatching them from random street thugs crossed his mind, but he instantly scrubs that thought. Pissing off the entire military? Yeah, not on his bucket list. Flashback to a sketchy pet shop. He had hit up the place just to run some beta tests on a few critters. Sure, the experiment was a total success, but the wimpy shadow flickering in his palm wasn't even close to human-sized. Our boy locks eyes with the shopkeeper, straight up, demanding the price tag for the entire massive cage. The vendor smirks. 13 rabbits, $100 a pop. But hey, for a VIP customer dropping serious cash, he offers to slide the whole bundle over for $1,200 flat. Our hero instantly calls cap on that insane markup, but the greedy merchant claps back, blaming the wildly chaotic times. Apparently, it was a steal. Not backing down, our guy counters, telling the dude to toss the caged birds and rats into the mix to sweeten the deal. Dollar signs flash in the vendor's eyes. Securing his fat commission for the entire month, he eagerly slaps on a discount and waives the delivery fee. As the clueless merchant cheerfully boxes up the livestock, our protagonist looms right behind him. His eyes flash with a dark, calculating glint. He is absolutely plotting something devious. Fast forward, and it is an absolute massacre. Fur and feathers scatter the cold pavement as every single rabbit, bird, and rat lies totally lifeless. Standing dead center in this grim crime scene, our boy shrugs off the bad karma. A necessary evil, considering he finally hoarded enough dark aura to spawn his minions. Thrusting his hand forward, he vigorously channels the summon. A sick, neon green aura violently erupts around him. The inky shadows pool together, mutating into a massive, bubbling puddle of darkness before ripping themselves off the floor, morphing into eerie silhouettes. 3 humanoid beasts, forged from absolute pitch-black energy, materialize right in front of him. Leaning in to inspect his shiny new toys, he barks an order for the squad to freeze for a quick vibe check. But as he locks eyes with the closest minion, the void-like creature ruthlessly glares back, sending brutal shivers down his spine. Through the monster's twisted, nightmarish perspective, we watch our hero completely freeze up. A cold sweat drops. His gut screams that something is horribly, terribly wrong. Boom. Reality instantly warps. Glowing, ancient runes swarm his vision, violently dragging his mind into a deeply hypnotic, paralyzing trance. Vertigo hits him like a freight train. Completely disoriented, he spirals down into an endless, trippy abyss, his consciousness fading incredibly fast. Just as he is about to black out, a phantom hand snatches his wrist with a vice grip, slamming the brakes on his freefall. Enter the system entity, frantically sounding the alarm about a hostile, alien presence. Without missing a beat, she triggers a ruthless automatic purge protocol. Our guy is left utterly clueless as the digital guardian violently shoves him out of the blast radius. Lethal, neon green static electrifies the zone. Unfazed, the mysterious girl ignites a raging sphere of sapphire flames in her palm, gearing up to absolutely obliterate this invader. With a savage swipe, she launches the raw cosmic power at the grotesque, looming shadows. The blinding blue inferno tears through the void like a literal missile. The rogue monsters shriek in absolute agony as the blast vaporizes them on impact, wiping them straight from existence. Now that the dust has finally settled, our boy glances up at his digital guardian angel, tossing her a massive thank you for saving his skin yet again. He frantically stammers out his defense. He was literally just trying to bond with his new summons. Instead, his soul almost got hijacked. Reality sinks in. He was 1 second away from becoming a midday snack for the abyss. But the system girl is not having it, ruthlessly tearing into him and demanding he stop acting so reckless. She strictly bans him from ever syncing up with unverified aura pools again. This heavy warning sparks a terrifying theory in our hero's brain. Does every single energy trace in this universe secretly belong to an invisible god? The system girl just gives him dead silence. The heavy, suffocating mystery violently hangs in the air, leaving his question completely unanswered. After a wildly tense pause, she drops a massive cliffhanger, labeling it strictly classified info, and orders him to aggressively grind out his authority levels. Reality check. He is still way too low level to unlock the universe's absolute endgame lore. Swallowing his pride, he nervously eyes his newly domesticated shadow goons, asking the system if they are finally chill to use. Getting the green light that he holds the leash, his confidence absolutely skyrockets. Pivoting back to his dark creations, the boss issues a savage command, demanding to see their full combat specs. Instantly, one of the brutes liquefies straight into the concrete, vanishing like spilled ink. Our guy's jaw drops. Their stealth stats are absolutely broken. Even better, they do not leak a single drop of mana. Smirking with raw confidence, he decides to stress test his new bodyguards, ordering the squad to jump him without holding back. Going full throttle, all three phantoms box him in. Shadow-forged scythes manifest in their hands, fully prepared to carve their master into ribbons. Our boy does not even flinch. His fist erupts with blinding energy. In a hyper-fast flash, all three assassins are brutally blasted across the room. One collapses to its knees, engulfed in literal flames, while the others violently crash against the pavement, completely wrecked. Panicking at the sight of his burning minion, our hero frantically screams out that the mob cost him a massive bag of cash. He desperately snaps his fingers to extinguish the blaze, refusing to watch his precious investment burn to ash. Brushing himself off, he reveals he specifically engineered 3 unique classes for this test run. Right on cue, one of the shadow rats shapeshifts into a literal mini-me of our protagonist. Stroking his chin, the insane math starts flowing. He calculates the avian scout is pushing roughly 1.2 standard units of raw power, while the rabbit cranks out 1.4. A wild, crazy idea sparks what if he captured a freaking tiger? Or better yet, would harvesting human souls buff their intelligence stats? A super dark thought, but he violently shakes it off. Yeah, playing God with actual people crosses a serious moral line. Suddenly, his eyes bug out. Shifting into full comedic chibi mode, he points a shaky finger, absolutely mind-blown, that his terrifying hit squad just magically shrank. The 3 shadow beasts are suddenly bite-sized and totally non-threatening, basically looking like edgy, dark fantasy action figures. Wasting no time, he barks an order for them to run stealth recon on the perimeter. Their mission: ping him instantly if they spot anything totally sus. The miniature assassins liquefy back into sleek puddles, smoothly drifting away into the pitch-black corners of the base. Watching them operate, our guy is seriously impressed. He openly admits these little goons pack way more brainpower than he gave them credit for. Slumping back onto the cold floor, he drops into deep thought. Sure, he has got insane damage and top-tier espionage on lock, but there is a massive catch. All his juice is leeching off monsters. He literally has zero clue how to natively cultivate his own core energy. The harsh realization hits. He desperately needs to crack the code of the awakened elites or snag a legendary cultivation manual. Those top-tier players are definitely gatekeeping massive secrets and hoarding the exact epic loot he requires to ascend. His blood boils as a toxic memory flashes some arrogant prick sneering in his face, aggressively reminding him that hitting level 9 is basically just child's play. The mysterious entity practically rolls its cosmic eyes and tells our boy to literally just look it up online. Our MC scoffs, convinced it's straight up cap, but she relentlessly pushes him to dig anyway. Smash cut to the neon-drenched city skyline. The midnight cyber hunt is officially on. Deep inside a pitch-black room, some keyboard warrior furiously types away, completely oblivious to the shadowy horrors lurking right behind his gaming chair. He's scrolling through a Hunter forum and absolutely losing his mind over how incredibly brain-dead the posts are. Random noobs are literally out here asking what awakened beings pack for lunch, if reality has a secret final boss, or if superpowers get passed down through genetics. Plot twist, this basement dweller is actually dying to know the answers to this absolute nonsense. Meanwhile, our MC is chilling on his couch, scrolling through his screen and practically dying of laughter. Some absolute tryhard rocking the username Supreme Prodigy is flexing like the ultimate beast slayer, daring him to click his profile. Bingo. Our boy realizes the fish just swallowed the hook. He casually roasts the guy, pointing out that his so-called legendary page is completely dead. Across the web, the keyboard warrior violently malfunctions, screaming at his monitor that he hasn't hit level 2 yet, meaning his account is permanently locked. This raging sweat aggressively types out the rules. Unlocking the VIP black market requires hitting level 2 and doxing your own ID. That's the only way to swap elite loot. Our MC isn't stupid. Handing over his ID is basically begging the military to track his every move. His big brain solution? Just hijack somebody else's account. The tryhard starts sweating over the long pause, panicking that his cover is blown. But then his ego kicks back in, heavily trusting his flawlessly faked persona. Without hesitating, the MC drops a nuclear truth bomb, calling him a straight-up fraud. The keyboard warrior practically shatters his desk, screaming that he's legit. He calls his hustling high art, refusing to take the massive L. This dude goes into full overdrive, determined to prove he's an actual heavy hitter. A high-res photo of a blood-red, crazy luxurious invitation pops up on screen. The scammer violently flexes, claiming it's a golden ticket to an underground awakened-only bazaar, and arrogantly dares our boy to fact-check it with anyone in the underworld. The MC just smirks at his glowing screen, assuming it's a total Photoshop job. In his mind, faking a flex like this is child's play. Literally anyone could claim they got invited to dine with a royal princess at the White House. He could fake that in 5 minutes. Meanwhile, the basement-dwelling creep furiously types out a warning, demanding our boy pay close attention because the proof is about to drop, and it's programmed to self-destruct in exactly 5 seconds. Flashing a wicked grin, the MC instantly slams the block button, happily kissing the absolute clown goodbye. The fatal user-blocked notification flashes on the monitor, sending the scammer into a world-shattering rage. Fast forward, the camera pans down a grimy, forgotten alleyway, where a massive crowd of individuals dripping in high-end, mysterious gothic drip is silently marching toward a warehouse. The vibes are screaming creepy secret society. Slap bang in the middle of this chaos stands our MC. He's rocking a mustard yellow trench coat, a vintage top hat, and a deeply unsettling smiley face mask. With both hands shoved deep in his pockets, he casually scans the freak show. He spots surrounding goons, sporting utterly unhinged disguises, like demonic pigs and deranged roosters, and realizes something hilarious. He honestly thought his edgy drip was one of a kind, but it turns out looking like a sleep paralysis demon is just the standard dress code here. Spotting dudes wearing chicken, dog, and monkey faces, he mentally notes that this whole operation looks way less like an elite syndicate and more like a payday bank heist crew. Right at the VIP doors, 2 absolutely massive bouncers wearing fox masks physically barricade the entrance, shutting down both our guy and his towering shadow of a servant. The first wall of muscle demands a ticket, but before things escalate, the head doorman surprisingly waves them right through the gate. Hidden beneath his plastic smile, our hero's radar pings even the guy holding the door is a jacked level 3, awakened. He instantly realizes he's going to have to pull a massive stunt to establish dominance. On cue, a suffocating, pitch-black aura erupts from his body. The 2 guards aggressively snap their heads around, their survival instincts screaming that a boss-level threat just dropped in. With his trench coat violently whipping in the wind and shadowy energy flaring out like demonic wings, he glares down the bouncers with pure, unmatched CEO energy. The fox mask giants are completely paralyzed. One mentally panics, trying to calculate what kind of absolute monster casually leaks this much murderous intent, and the other is internally freaking out, entirely unable to fathom why an apex predator is slumming it at their low-key underground bazaar. Drowning in his own terrifying special effects, our guy mentally facepalms. He only wanted to drop a little mysterious vibe, but now he's literally the main event. He quickly realizes he might have cranked the anime protagonist dial a bit too high. Looming over the terrified duo, he casually drops that he misplaced his golden ticket. Sweating bullets, one of the muscleheads stammers out a question about the market before practically throwing the heavy iron doors wide open for him. Grinning like a menace behind his disguise, the MC smoothly asks if he needs to wait in line. The guard frantically stutters that a VIP like him gets the red carpet treatment. Literally the bouncer's words, not mine. While this human tank furiously glazes him swearing the boss will be honored, our boy reflects on how having raw power literally alters reality. It turns even the most brutal gatekeepers into absolute pushovers. He swaggers solo down a creepy cobblestone alleyway, flanked by towering bamboo and blazing torches. Totally eating up the cinematic, horror movie aesthetic, he finally breaches a massive open courtyard where the space is packed with masked, shady characters, hawking bizarre, glowing artifacts on dirt-stained rugs. It's giving lethal, black market swap meet vibes. One hustler rocking a literal bowling ball over his head is pitched on his knees, hyping up his stash featuring a radioactive green gem and a golden rock that literally shines brighter than my entire future. Adjusting his vintage lid with a highly satisfied smirk, our MC mentally confirms that he has officially hit the underground jackpot. His gaze locks onto another merchant aggressively pushing some absolute top-tier loot. Spread across his filthy carpet is a massive, mutated boar's tusk, perfect for forging high-damage gear, alongside a severed chunk of a 3-headed vulture, which is prime material for brewing god-tier buffs. The MC is completely mind-blown, seeing these insanely rare drops getting tossed around like they're just selling cheap snacks at a local gas station. Soaking in the madness, he casually strolls deeper into the mob, low-key judging everyone's freakish disguises. The underground market's energy is absolutely suffocating. Just inches away, two masked figures frantically whisper, warning each other to keep their eyes glued to the floor when our main character walks by. They are terrified of waking the sleeping dragon. Meanwhile, our boy is watching this absolute sea of people part like the Red Sea, definitely feeding his ego a little bit. But reality hits when a massive, empty bubble forms around him. So much for keeping a low profile, right? He eventually drifts over to a shady pop-up shop run by a girl rocking a neon cat mask. Her spread? A wild mix of sketchy elixirs and dusty tomes. Glancing down, he spots 4 manuals screaming survivalist vibes, including a literal guide called Surviving the Wilds, version 2.0, of course. For a guy desperately needing a crash course in this world's magic system, this absolute beginner's stash is basically hitting the jackpot. A sly grin creeps across his face beneath his disguise, but he mentally slaps himself. If he acts too eager, he is going to get scammed blind. Time to play it ice cold. Clearing his throat with a perfectly calculated, polite cough, he anchors his posture, ready to haggle like an absolute pro. He snatches up a glowing glass tube. Is this the infamous 5 burials corpse toxin? The cat girl nods enthusiastically, casually dropping the absolute nightmare fuel process required to brew it. She brags that 1 drop turns a living, breathing target into a walking biohazard. Just your average Tuesday skincare routine, right? She drops a heavy warning. Force feed this to a Morningstar tier beast, and it is going to face agonizing torment. Our guy just deadpans internally. Trying to spoon-feed literal acid to an apex predator? Yeah, that sounds like a VIP express pass straight to the afterlife. Rolling the vial between his fingers, he admits the lethality is top tier, but the application is absolute garbage. He pivots back to the survival guides, way less risky. He taps the stack and orders her to bag them up. Catgirl tilts her head, clearly thrown off, sarcastically asking if he is doing some back-to-school shopping, like he is fetching bedtime stories for toddlers. Shrugging it off, our main character reaches for his wallet, only for the merchant to demand exactly 1 spirit coin. Absolute zero movement. He freezes up entirely. He has literally zero clue what this underworld crypto even looks like. She jumps in to justify the price, bragging about her 13 handcrafted volumes packed with exclusive cheat codes and annotations, swearing it is an absolute steal. Meanwhile, our protagonist is just standing there, mentally sweating while trying to look deep in thought. The peanut gallery of masked thugs quickly catches on. The roasting begins immediately, with the mob loudly branding him a massive cheapskate. Sweating over a single penny? Did mommy forget to pack your allowance? Suddenly, cutting through the chatter, a dude rocking a creepy monkey mask swaggers out of the shadows, cackling like a maniac. He mocks the entire crowd, calling them a bunch of gullible sheep. Jamming a finger straight at our hero, Monkey Boy claims that the intimidating black trench coat is actually a high-tier artifact, an item specifically designed to mask a weak aura. He confidently declares the protagonist is just a powerless imposter playing dress-up, sending shockwaves through the murmuring crowd. Smirking like a true villain, the troublemaker dares him to strip off the coat right now, threatening that the market's heavy hitters will literally tear him limb from limb for trespassing. Our boy slowly turns his head, locking eyes with the loudmouth. Is that supposed to scare me? The guy just grips his combat staff, smugly replying he is just stating facts. Shrouded entirely in shadows under his wide-brimmed hat, a cold, lethal annoyance washes over the protagonist as he mutters how tragically stupid this guy is. Instantly, an explosive shockwave of pitch-black demonic energy blasts outward from his core. The darkness aggressively homes in on the monkey-masked fool. Faster than a heartbeat, monstrous, writhing shadow tendrils snatch him up, violently hoisting him off the ground. He is left dangling there like a pathetic, broken marionette tangled in dark strings. Pure, unadulterated panic sets in as the victim shrieks, thrashing wildly against the suffocating nightmare grip. To crush his spirit completely, our guy forces a hallucination of unimaginable cosmic dread straight into the dude's mind, shattering his sanity on the spot. Without missing a beat, a massive shadow whip coils around the instigator and brutally pile-drives him straight into the concrete, leaving a crater of crushed bones and regret. An absolute menace wearing a horned demon mask just bursts out laughing. He roasts the knocked-out loser, joking that his big mouth finally wrote a check his body couldn't cash. Playing the clown a bit too literally, bleeding out and drowning in humiliation, the monkey kid completely loses it, spitting blood and screaming that our protagonist is a cowardly monster. Extending a shaking finger, he drops the classic entitled brat card, claiming he is the younger sibling of the infamous CO Jew, promising absolute, merciless slaughter for this disrespect. Flash. A razor-sharp phantom blade cleanly severs that pointing hand before the threat even finishes echoing. Dropping to his knees and desperately gripping the geyser of red spraying from his severed wrist, the shattered thug wails in absolute agony, sobbing hysterically about the mind-numbing pain. Striding forward with his towering, ominous dark familiar looming right behind him, the main character coldly declares that barking dogs who bite get put down immediately. The entire marketplace is stunned, silent. Whispers erupt. Is this dude a literal demon lord? Another bystander mutters that the untouchable CO syndicate just kicked a massive hornet's nest. Suddenly, two enforcers rocking slick fox masks ruthlessly shove their way to the front lines, barking at the peasants to clear the path. They step into the impact zone, carefully analyzing this mysterious powerhouse who is just chilling there, radiating absolute boss energy with his dark pet. The silver-haired enforcer squints, instantly recognizing the shadow magic's deadly origins, clearly entertained by the violent chaos unfolding in his territory. Meanwhile, the cat mask merchant is practically vibrating with sheer terror. She begs for her life, frantically stammering that her cheap, scribbled notebooks are totally worthless. She throws her hands up, screaming he can steal the merch, but her purity is strictly off-limits. Our boy just gives her a slow, judging side-eye, mentally comparing her to a flat ironing board. He flatly rejects her, savagely stating he has zero interest in washing boards. You can visibly see her soul leave her body from the emotional damage. Disregarding her offended gasp, he casually drops a pulsating artifact onto her mat. Will this cover the tab? He asks, utterly unbothered. The girl scoops up the mysterious glowing orb, and her eyes practically turn into dollar signs. It is a flawlessly preserved venom gland from a high-tier arachnid. Fangirling over his godly, surgical precision, she explains that even a mangled version of this stuff easily clears 10 grand on the black market, while a pristine, untouched specimen, like his recently fetched a mind-blowing 100,000 credits at an exclusive auction block. Cradling the loot like a newborn baby, she is left speechless by the sheer fortune sitting in her palms. Bingo. Our protagonist suddenly realizes his passive carving ability is basically an infinite money glitch. Hiding a massive, greedy smirk behind his disguise, he smoothly asks if they are squared away. The merchant aggressively shakes her head, panicking that she is massively undercharging him. She practically shoves it back, begging him to just pay the single silver piece originally quoted. Little does she know, our supposedly wealthy badass is secretly sweating absolute buckets internally. Turns out, he practically handed it over because his wallet is literally empty, totally calling out her stubborn streak. Finding her entertaining, he lets her keep the loot, but promises to cash in on that favor later. Instantly, her mind jumps straight to the gutter. Our guy just spins around, dropping a quick apology and clarifying he strictly dates in his own age bracket. She absolutely loses it, snapping back, demanding to know who gave him the green light to act so buddy-buddy. Still, Xu Xiaoqing locks in the agreement, slipping him a DIY business card that earns a nod for its slick penmanship. Out of nowhere, a mob of shades-wearing goons in tailored suits swarms our hero and the monkey-masked dude bleeding on the dirt. The head honcho barks at the crowd to scatter, radiating absolute mafia boss aura. The stall owner frantically whispers that it is Shu Juchu, pleading with our guy to sprint toward the safe zone, but he just shrugs, questioning if this clan is actually a big deal. She frantically breaks down how Shu is a late bloomer, currently speedrunning through level 9, backed by a mythic tier grandpa, making this situation infinitely more toxic than he realizes. She swears he is digging his own grave. He just hits her with a smirk, wondering out loud if packing a few pathetic level 9s actually makes them top tier. Bam. Two pitch-black shadow minions materialize out of thin air, guarding the merchant, who lets out a blood-curdling shriek. The phantoms circle up to shield her as she practically cries for them to escape. Chuckling, he roasts her for suddenly acting like his little sister, calling her a total fraud. Meanwhile, the monkey-masked loser, coughing up blood on the pavement, whines for his big bro Shu Juchu to get payback. Pushing up his glasses, Shu coldly states the obvious, scanning the absolute wreckage. Locking eyes with our protagonist, the boss promises hell for daring to touch his bloodline. But then, a suffocating, gravity-crushing aura radiates off the masked boy and his wraiths, drenching Shu in a cold sweat as the brutal reality checks in. He is hopelessly outmatched. Even the battered sibling chokes on the heavy air, eyes wide with pure dread over his massive screw-up. Moving like a literal blur, Shu totally blitzes his own brother with a brutal karate chop to the neck. The monkey dude instantly logs out, collapsing like a ragdoll. Dropping straight to his knees, Shu starts yapping a wild sob story about failing his duties as a mentor, claiming he handled the trash himself while desperately begging for mercy. Underneath his mask, our guy is utterly baffled, feeling like the simulation glitched because bad guys definitely do not fold this fast. Shu nervously watches the squad, His knocked-out sibling slumped nearby. During the dead silence, dripping with panic, the suited boss overthinks the deafening quiet, convinced the Reaper is still pissed. Slamming his forehead down, Shu vows he never meant to disrespect the legendary Shadow-Slicing clan, tossing out a desperate bribe of 1,000 coins. Clueless about the name drop, our hero just fakes it till he makes it, absorbing the VIP status. Flashing a wicked grin, he smoothly claims this better be a wake-up call. Shu scrambles to dip out, and the shadow-guarded boss just waves them off like annoying flies. Hauling out of there, a clown-suited lackey questions the friendly fire. Shu bites back that they narrowly dodged a fatal trap laid out by that god-tier faction. The clown echoes the clan name, face totally blank. The leader breaks it down. Those freaks weaponize the dark, forging lethal shadow sentinels that make them walking nightmares. He hypes up the Crimson Hand as an apex assassin syndicate hunting premium targets, putting this specific bloodline at the absolute peak of the food chain. Pushing his frames up, he drops the lore. Spawning just one sentinel burns insane cash and stamina, leaving even the elite with a single summon. Yet that masked kid was casually flexing an entire squad. Pointing out the 3 flawless phantoms, he labels the guy an absolute raid boss. He praises his own street smarts, knowing that without that intel, their entire bloodline was cooked. Spiraling into sheer panic, Shu plots to tank the aggro and step down just to keep breathing. His squad totally rejects the idea, screaming that the clan would instantly crumble without him. Meanwhile, deep in the woods, our boy realizes the drop pool is empty. He lets out an annoyed sigh, fully salty that the coward ruined his combat high. Lurking nearby, the fox-masked girl is absolutely gagged, seeing the untouchable Shu clan hit the dash. Trying to calculate his actual power level, she steps up, respectfully addressing him. He pivots, asking what is good, only for an NPC to randomly spawn, delivering a summon from the market's ultimate boss. Keeping it chill, our hero just hits him with a solid bet, zero hesitation. She instantly invites herself to the VIP meeting, and the messenger motions the crew forward. Cutting through the mob, some horned bystander points out the suffocating aura choking the air around the yellow-robed menace. His buddy nods, totally shook that a low-tier hub spawned a player radiating pure boss fight energy. Suddenly, a random creeper in a rat mask pitches the title Yellow-Robed King, and the horned dude immediately locks it in as the hardest nickname ever. Pulling up to this massive compound, their guide just points at the heavy double doors, sending a loud and clear message that the big boss is waiting right behind them. Stepping into the courtyard, our main character and the girl immediately lock eyes with 3 guys posted up at a table beneath a massive tree. The whole area is dead quiet, but the tension in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife. You can literally smell the absolute chaos about to drop. Front and center is the head honcho, rocking a sharp black suit and snow-white hair. He locks onto our hero, his eyes literally glowing with killer intent as he tries to flex his dominance. Our masked hero instantly catches the vibe. This dude is a heavy hitter trying to scan his power level, but our boy isn't here to play games and instantly triggers his ultimate trump card, the Shelter of Time. Boom. Pitch black energy swallows the entire space, while the device strapped to the hero's wrist erupts with a blinding, neon glow. Out of absolute nowhere, a massive spectral clock face manifests in the air, and a freaky, luminous insect shoots straight out from the center of the dial. The white-haired boss's reality instantly fractures. His vision glitches out, force-feeding him rapid-fire flashbacks of recent underground brawls, including that whole chaotic bloodbath with the Shu clan. Looking like an absolute menace, our hero stands dead center inside the clock's aura, pulling all the strings and holding the entire yard in the palm of his hand. The boss is completely paralyzed by shock as a crushing wave of energy slams into him, violently warping the very space he is standing in. Trapped inside his own head, he is suddenly dumped into a twisted, alien dimension. Panic sets in as a skull-crushing migraine brings him to his knees. He is clawing at his scalp, mentally screaming for an exit from this agonizing illusion. Cut back to reality, he violently hacks up a mouthful of dark blood. His massive tank of a bodyguard absolutely panics, sprinting over and screaming for his master. The white-haired boss is completely out of it, his chest heaving after spitting up half his life force. Seeing red, the giant turns his fury onto our hero. He roars at the top of his lungs, demanding to know who gave him the audacity to ambush his boss. The brute charges forward like a freight train, totally ready to throw hands. But just in the nick of time, his master snaps back to reality and desperately orders him to stand down. Wiping his mouth, the boss forces himself to stand. He bows his head, cups his hands in deep respect, and drops his real title, Li Cheng, an operative for the Federal Special Division. Swallowing every ounce of his pride, Li Cheng totally bows down. He begs for forgiveness over his reckless test, pleading with our guy to just sweep the disrespect under the rug. As a peace offering, he swears on his life he will not even look at the hidden treasure. Even better, he offers to spill every single piece of intel he has on it. The third guy at the table, Ma Yang, quickly changes his tune. He officially welcomes our masked hero to the night market, promising to act as his personal informant for any rumors regarding this mysterious loot. Our boy gives a slow, calculating nod like he knows everything. But internally, he is sweating bullets, completely clueless about whatever legendary drop these guys are hyping up. Not skipping a beat, he casually leans over to his female companion and straight up asks her to clarify what this treasure actually is. Ma Yang raises an eyebrow, obviously weirded out by the question. But our genius hero knows exactly what he is doing, realizing he just found the absolute perfect cover to do the talking for him. Flipping the script, the hero orders Ma Yang to break down the details for the girl. The market boss instantly obeys, though he is secretly scratching his head. He cannot fathom why a supreme powerhouse would share top-secret intel with some random kid, and his mind jumps to the crazy conclusion that she must be a low-key genius disciple. Tensions finally drop as everyone takes a seat. The girl is now officially part of the VIP circle, fully locked in for the ultimate lore drop as Ma Yang kicks off the explanation. He reveals this entire mess started exactly 1 month ago when a notorious crew called the Human Eye Thieves hijacked a merchant transport. The girl literally gasps, recognizing that terrifying name right away. Our hero plays it cool, asking how she knows about this squad. She breaks it down. They started as your average street trash, until their boss signed a literal pact with a demonic entity. That cursed contract mutated them into grotesque abominations, their skulls plastered with blinking eyeballs and pulsing with twisted magic. She explains the deal gave them near immortality, but the catch is absolutely horrific. To stop their flesh from rotting off their bones, they have to constantly feast on fresh human eyeballs. Talk about a totally unhinged diet plan, right? It gets worse. Every eye they consume literally buffs their stats. That sick power scaling is exactly why they form massive swarms to raid entire settlements. They have evolved into an apocalyptic threat to humanity. Ma Yang practically spits venom, slamming the table, furious because these freaks jumped his crew and permanently blinded his best men. They destroyed countless families in the blink of an eye. Li Cheng nods in grim agreement that they need to be exterminated, but then he leans in and drops the absolute mother of all plot twists. Sitting right there in the stolen cargo, a literal dragon egg, our guy is screaming on the inside, barely keeping himself from falling out of his chair. His brain is doing frantic math, realizing an actual mythological beast core like that is worth an unimaginably astronomical amount of cash. Keeping his voice steady, he casually asks how on earth they swiped the egg without getting instantly vaporized into dragon barbecue. He points out that robbing a nest is basically begging for a swarm of giant, fire-breathing lizards to nuke your hometown. But Li Cheng steps in to clarify. This is not a purebred beast. It is a hybrid, the genetic offspring of a dragon and some other unknown monster. Our hero instantly writes it off in his head as some defective lizard. But Li Cheng strongly warns him not to sleep on this catch, revealing the creature's father is a terrifying radiant moon-tier dragon. The government agent admits he felt the suffocating pressure of our guy's aura earlier. He is absolutely convinced only a radiant moon powerhouse like him could ever hope to survive this mission. Meanwhile, our hero is internally panicking, wondering if that insane spiritual pressure was literally just his freaky glowing insect flexing. Beside him, the girl is totally starstruck. She is looking at him like he is a legendary god, straight out of an epic fantasy novel, fully convinced he is destined to rewrite her entire fate. Her imagination is absolutely running off the rails. Bringing things back to reality, Li Cheng explains that the transport crew got way too cocky. They moved the priceless artifact with 0 heavy escorts, which let them get completely blindsided by the cultists. Legend has it, the sole survivor of the slaughter had his eyes brutally carved out, but he managed to play dead in the bloodbath. Once he escaped, he purposely leaked the treasure's location to the underground, baiting heavy hitters to hunt down the thieves and get his revenge. Li Cheng narrows his eyes, pointing out that these mutated thugs are way too coordinated, meaning they absolutely have a mole feeding them high-level security routes from the inside. And that exact paranoia is why he showed up here today, hoping to hire Ma Yang's shadow network to track down the sudden spike in missing persons across the sector. A wicked smirk creeps beneath our MC's mask. He is already fantasizing about snatching that egg, hatching an absolute beast of a pet, and flexing on literally everyone. In his head, he is soaring through the clouds on a terrifying fire-breathing dragon, screaming like a gamer on Christmas morning. Snapping back to reality, he questions them about the casualties, and Li Cheng reveals the body count is pushing nearly 100. He explains that the bandit boss must have devoured thousands of eyes, rocketing straight up to that insane Morningstar power tier. The guard brushes it off, hyping the MC up by claiming that is light work for him. Li Cheng chimes in, warning that if word leaks, only the absolute heavy hitters will swarm the place. Our boy keeps his poker face flawless, but mentally, he is completely spiraling. He has no clue what kind of god they think he is, especially since every single dude in this room looks like a final boss to him. He realizes this entire VIP status is built on a massive misunderstanding. A freezing sweat drips down his back, as he calculates if he would even survive a light tap from these dudes once his cover blows. Breaking the tension, Li Cheng lets out a heavy, depressing sigh. He confesses his internal organs are basically shredded. He desperately needed that egg to repair his shattered body and finally push past his current level. Pushing 200 years old, the veteran is practically knocking on death's door. His loyal guard desperately tries to lift his spirits, swearing to hunt down legendary loot to extend his master's lifespan. But Li Cheng bitterly shuts that down. He knows top-tier artifacts are hoarded by terrifying monstrosities, and honestly, his hope is completely gone. Out of nowhere, our MC casually drops an ultra-deep, philosophical one-liner about the concept of nothingness and everything. The old master just blinks, completely stunned. He points a shaky finger at his own chest, shocked that he is receiving profound life advice from this powerhouse. Li Cheng mutters the words over and over until, boom, an epiphany strikes him like lightning. Without warning, a massive shockwave of pure aura erupts from his body. He achieves an instant breakthrough, obliterating the tables and chairs as raw power blasts in every single direction. Caught dead center of this pitch-black vortex, Li Cheng rips out a blood-curdling shriek while his bodyguard clings to him for dear life. Absolutely terrified, the massive bodyguard grips his boss and starts screaming his lungs out at our boy, demanding to know what kind of curse he just dropped on the old geezer. But the masked dude, he just drops this dark, cryptic chuckle, leaving the guard literally drowning in cold sweat. Inwardly, the MC is low-key panicking like, bro, I literally have zero idea. He was just yapping to make the old man feel better. Honestly, he still thinks the grandpa is just being insanely stubborn for refusing modern meds to extend his lifespan. Suddenly, the energy blast ramps up to an 11, unleashing a shockwave that violently rattles the entire courtyard. But amidst the chaos, Li Cheng is completely zen. A peaceful smile creeps up as he fully embraces the circle of life, unlocking hardcore spiritual enlightenment. The girl instantly hypes up, totally convinced she just caught a contact enlightenment. Meanwhile, our MC is fuming, absolutely tilted that he grinded through a whole manual for nothing, while this boomer hears one sentence and ascends to godhood. Outside the walls, the crowd feels the ground violently shaking, totally convinced an epic-tier artifact just spawned. One random dude instantly whips out his phone to record the flex, hyping himself up to rub this massive dub in his haters' faces. Cut back to the VIP table, and the vibe is completely dead silent. Li Cheng is literally radiating light like a freshly unboxed neon sign, while the bodyguard calmly pours tea, like the world didn't almost just end. The camera pushes in tight on Li Cheng's eyes. They are glowing solid gold, sparkling with absolute, insane clarity. Seeing this massive glow-up, the bodyguard beams at his boss, realizing the old man just hit a massive power spike. Immediately, the giant servant body slams the pavement, intensely groveling at the MC's feet, desperately pleading for mercy because he totally failed to recognize a literal god. He vows to take whatever brutal punishment is coming. But sitting there like a total boss, the MC simply brushes it off. Chill out, we are good. Li Cheng shoots to his feet, absolutely glazing the MC, hyping up his unfathomable cosmic wisdom for spotting his fatal flaw in literally 2 seconds. The old master bows deeply, confessing that without that god-tier advice, he would have totally flatlined. In his head, the MC is sweating, totally lost in the sauce with all this heavy cultivator jargon. Playing it cool, he waves off the praise, acting like dropping infinite knowledge is just a side hustle, calling it a basic observation. But Li Cheng goes hardcore, pledging to shadow the MC for the rest of his life, just to soak up more wisdom. The MC instantly triggers a panic attack, internally screaming, "Back off, boomer. Ain't no way I am rooming with a 200-year-old fossil." Right on cue, the first rays of morning sunlight slice through the darkness. Catching his out, the MC announces he has to dip. Li Cheng desperately tries to play the royal escort, but our boy brutally rejects the offer on the spot. Looking completely shattered, Li Cheng quietly accepts the rejection. Seeing an opening, the MC casually name-drops a son who might need some future backup and demands the old man's business card. Li Cheng instantly swears on his life to protect the kid like his own flesh and blood. The massive bodyguard jumps in too, offering himself as a personal hitman, ready to fold anyone who looks at the kid wrong. Not missing a beat, the girl pipes up, reminding him she is still sitting on massive debt, begging him to slide into her messages to collect. The MC gives her a hardcore side-eye, mentally noting that pulling up to her spot would be a massive headache, especially with her absolutely ridiculous drip. Throwing up a lazy peace sign, he ghosts the scene, leaving the trio bowing deeply in total awe. Meanwhile, our guy is full-on parkouring across the rooftops, desperately rushing to get back to base. The camera pans out to a sick, cinematic wide shot of the concrete jungle, with the golden morning sun totally bathing the skyscrapers in light. Crashing back at his apartment, he casually tosses the iconic yellow trench coat and mask right onto the couch. Dropping the mysterious act, he plops down, absolutely hyping himself up over his flawless, Oscar-level acting chops, swearing Hollywood is missing out. Flipping the business cards like playing cards, he starts cooking up his master plan, forging an insanely overpowered alt account, so he can control the entire game from the shadows. The era of playing nice is over. Lu Yu is officially hacking his way into the awakened society, hard smurfing as a complete zero-level rookie, chilling on his couch like a mafia boss, entirely boxed in by his terrifying Shadow Legion. Lu Yu starts barking orders. He locks onto the logic that those artifact snatchers need fresh intel, meaning they have to be lurking somewhere nearby. He deploys his shadow assassins to invisibly blanket the city streets, commanding them to ping him the second they spot any sketchy black market trades or the rogue thieves. The dark entities melt into the floor in perfect obedience. Pan down, and the camera reveals a massive stack of lore books he finesse borrowed from the market girl. Snatching the top volume, Lu Yu preps for a heavy hardcore study session to hack the system's mechanics. His eyes scan the pages, and a wicked smirk drops, because the puzzle pieces are finally snapping into place. Sprawled out like a king, he absorbs the core lore. Spirituality is literally a massive fusion of soul, body, and mindset, the ultimate premium fuel for the elite. The text reveals that absolute power flows through literally everything, even a tiny blade of grass, but only the ones packing massive energy pools can hit that awakening tier. It breaks down how academies constantly scan the student body to snipe out the late bloomers. Hearing this, our MC decides his best strategy is to literally just chill in class and wait for the system to aggressively recruit him. Rapidly swiping through the ancient pages, Lu Yu absolutely speedruns the rest of the awakening data. The lore drops a massive history lesson on how the ancient original warriors coded the laws of awakening, building brutal rituals to buff human stats, literally patching humanity from weak-tier prey into hardcore demon slayers. Turns out, this starting ritual is the absolute bedrock of the meta, permanently hardlocking who gets to grind and who stays useless, and the main cheat code is the visualization diagram. Basically, the more insanely complex your mental blueprint is, the more broken your stats become, exactly like streaming a massive file in gorgeous 4K resolution. The guide visually demonstrates how top-tier awakened players weaponize their own imagination to violently sharpen their spiritual core, compressing all that raw energy into a single, blinding pixel of light to trigger a level up. Once you hit that phase, the ultimate quest is to aggressively expand that spec until it blows up into a massive, blazing moon, and then crush it all down into a tangible phantom shadow beast to fight for you. But the manual drops a massive, hardcore warning label. Absolutely, do not let your ego take over. If a rookie tries to instantly render the sun or the moon, it is instantly game over. Instantly, their spirit shatters under that insane weight, leading to an absolute game over. But the nightmare is just getting started. Trying to channel top-tier beasts or demonic entities for this? Yeah, that is literally a death wish. Rookies would get instantly obliterated by that kind of raw energy. Glaring at a sketch of some unhinged eldritch horror, Lu Yu connects the dots. This is exactly why nobody stares these abominations down. The brutal stakes of this whole twisted game finally click in his brain. Crashing hard onto the sofa and gripping his hair, our boy completely spirals. How on earth is he supposed to afford high-tier mystic blueprints without literally auctioning off his internal organs? Out of pure desperation, he cracks open the original volume in his stash to see what it offers. Scanning the pages, his jaw drops at the absolute trash-tier quality of the array. He assumed the power gap would be like matching a retro flip phone against a brand new flagship device. But the brutal truth hits way harder. We are talking Stone Age carrier pigeons versus next-gen quantum tech. Pausing to actually use his brain, Lu Yu realizes this base version of the Awakening Law holds a massive cheat code. Being the absolute foundation, it universally syncs with any future upgrade. His master plan? Grind out the starter path now, then swap it for a god-tier class later. But digging deeper, he spots massive, glaring flaws in this public guide. The elite factions deliberately nerfed the manual, gatekeeping the real power so no random nobody could ever overthrow them. Frustrated by this blatant paywall, he questions how anyone is supposed to actually level up using this hacked-up garbage. For a split second, he debates scamming Li Cheng's squad to swipe their premium technique. Though, he knows those guys are not gullible enough to just drop the loot. Slapping himself out of that delusion, he completely tosses the suicidal plan. Plus, even if he did somehow finesse them, Their family secret is probably mid at best. Playing it safe like the tactical genius he is, he locks in on the basic awakening law. The only catch? He needs to project an entity into his mind. But who gets the casting call? His demonic pets flash through his thoughts. Ride or die loyal. Yes. Strong enough to carry his core? Absolutely not. Daydreaming about taming an absolute nightmare, his ego skyrockets, picturing himself puppeteering a literal god of destruction. That would break the meta entirely. Snapping back to reality, he clutches his skull, remembering that dancing with cosmic horrors guarantees another brutal mental hijack. He desperately needs a safe, grounded anchor. Squeezing his eyes shut, his mental theater floods with golden deities, ancient warriors, and roaring wyverns. But the vibe is completely off. Out of nowhere, his sanity glitches out, blasting a shockwave of raw power like his system just crashed hard. Jolting awake, the room violently distorts around him, leaving him totally clueless about what triggered the reboot. Springing to his feet, he paces a trench into the floorboards, realizing this random guesswork is a massive fail. Is there literally any overpowered entity that will not scramble his neurons, or is he permanently soft-locked? Right on cue, his spooky little orb manifests, bobbing in the air like an emo birthday prop. Annoyed, our guy swats at the spectral pet, blowing off its goofy antics and ordering it back to the shadow realm. Instead of dipping, the sassy orb vibrates with pure defiance. When his fingers brush the surface, a crazy, intricate magic circle ignites across its skin, hypnotizing him. Eyes wide at the radiant sigil, a massive light bulb goes off in his head, and he screams that he just unlocked the ultimate cheat sheet. Locking in, he realizes the horror orb's mysterious tattoo is practically a blank canvas. But since he is the master who forged it, he dictates the rules. He just scored the ultimate focal point, an entity that scales infinitely without ever plotting his assassination. Throwing his hands up in absolute victory, flanked by his floating sidekick, Liu Yu drops the hardest mic imaginable, the ultimate model to channel, his own damn self. Dropping into a cross-legged Zen state, blinding yellow aura instantly swirls around his core, blocking out the world to zero in on the grind. That dense chakra pools heavily across his upper body. A bird's-eye view reveals our boy drowning in a radiant ocean that completely swallows the apartment. Slowly, a phantom clone of himself projects outward, pulsing with insane luminosity, and proving his stats are skyrocketing. But abruptly, his eyes snap open. Utterly annoyed, he groans that this leveling speed is worse than dial-up internet. Blaming the fragmented manual for the lag, he springs up, fiercely hyping himself up, to force the mental projection to fast forward. However, reality checks him hard. Rushing a mystical ascension usually ends in a grave, so surgical precision is non-negotiable. Pivoting strategies, he yanks out that fat sack of phantom currency he looted from the bazaar, preparing to pop them like supernatural pre-workout. See, for the gifted elites, this cash is not just money. It is raw, crystallized battlefield essence. Beyond funding dark rituals, popping these coins acts like an instant power bank to fully recharge a drained mana pool. Liu Yu is running on fumes after that last grueling grind session, but he knows holding back right now would be a massive L. Bro decides to blow his entire stash of coins in one go. Settling back into a lotus position, he dives deep into meditation, picturing pitch-black tendrils, erupting straight out of his spiritual core. Fast forward a few hours, and he snaps his eyes open, completely drenched in sweat, but totally hyped because he knows he just nailed it. A sinister doppelganger literally spawns right beside him, radiating an insane blue and gold aura. Yeah, the grind definitely paid off. Wrapped in glowing golden ribbons of pure power, our MC is absolutely vibing, flexing this massive W. But then this heavy, god-tier aura hits him out of nowhere. He pauses, realizing his shadow clone might have accidentally snagged some divine-level buffs. Flashing a cocky smirk, he turns around, declaring he is playing for his own team now. I mean, going against your own OP reflection? That is just bad math. He shuts his eyes as that menacing, neon blue-accented phantom looms over his shoulder, radiating absolute boss energy. His mindscape manifests this absolute unit of an entity, flexing glowing cosmic dots across its chest that literally look like a star chart. Boom. A system alert flashes across his vision, unlocking a brand new regional construct known as the Hand of Chaos. Staring up at this massive, swirling appendage of doom, Bro is deeply fascinated. Hovering right in the center of that dark palm are three tiny, glowing orbs. Our guy instantly spots exactly who they are. It is his loyal shadow squad, Xiao Qi, and the currently incubating little bro, Xiao Ba. It hits him that he never actually planned on mentally constructing an entire universe from scratch. This colossal hand of chaos, it is literally just a fraction of his inner demon god. The math is simple. If he pieces together the whole set, his power scaling will break the universe. He snaps his fingers, experiencing a massive brain blast moment, feeling just as wise as old Master Li Chen. Throwing his arms wide open, he triggers an absolutely broken leveling streak, tearing through all 9 phases of awakening, like it is absolute child's play. Hitting that 9th threshold, he slams into a wall, but quickly figures out it is actually an automatic bodily override, preventing him from literally exploding because his base stats are not ready for it yet. Suddenly, one of his stealthy minions materializes out of thin air. Our boy pivots, asking if the scout brought back any fresh tea regarding those underground kidnappers. Cutting to the next scene, we are at a completely new drop zone. Liu commands his squad to blind the perimeter, and instantly, a phantom launches at a surveillance lens, obliterating the tech with one clean swipe and leaving nothing but sparking garbage on the concrete. Strutting through the ad like he owns the block, Liu smirks, joking that the local authorities are going to be throwing a massive tantrum over the repair budget. Honestly, if playing the villain wasn't crucial to the master plan, he would feel super guilty about wrecking public property. Checking in with his stealth crew, he points at a sketchy complex up ahead, asking for the exact coordinates of the target. The minion nods, confirming the interior is absolutely packed with captured children, waiting to be sacrificed. A wave of pure disgust washes over our lead. Using innocent kids as fuel for some dark magic ritual is peak trash behavior, and he cannot fathom why these goons would invite so much heat instead of picking easier prey. Time for some tactical espionage. Liu grabs a random cardboard package, slapping on his best oblivious courier persona. The heavy metal door cracks open, revealing a super paranoid blonde thug who immediately glares at him. Visibly irritated by the unannounced guest, the guard barks that they didn't order Jack, threatening to rearrange our boy's face if he doesn't get lost immediately. Playing dumb, Liu insists that the tracking label screams VIP luxury goods, and he really does not want to get fired over a botched drop-off. Hearing the word luxury instantly triggers the goon's greed. His whole demeanor flips, and he aggressively demands the parcel. Throwing caution out the window, the bozo snatches the cardboard, totally convinced he just scored free premium loot. But the second he rips off the tape, he is staring into an empty void. He immediately starts raging, screaming at Liu for playing games with him. Big mistake. Right on cue, a pitch-black nightmare bursts from the empty cardboard, launching straight at the clueless idiot's throat. 0 reaction time. The phantom strikes with ruthless precision, dropping the thug to the floor like a sack of bricks, coughing and totally crippled. Stepping over the trash, Liu coldly orders him to unlock his smartphone and hand over the digital receipts of their criminal operation. Shaking like a leaf, the defeated villain fumbles with the screen, desperately trying to stall for a miracle. But the moment Liu scrolls through the gallery, his blood boils. The sick, twisted footage proves these monsters literally treat human suffering like a spectator sport. Done playing games, our boy delivers the execution signal. In a flash, his shadowy assassin packs the scumbag up for good. The thug's pathetic pleading gets silenced instantly. Right after the body drops, another clueless gang member stomps out of the hideout, throwing a fit over the delay. He freezes, locking eyes with an absolute demon king flanked by murderous spirits, and screeches in pure terror. Less than a second later, Bro gets completely deleted from existence. 0 hesitation. Stepping over the bodies, Liu commands his phantom squad to prepare for a heavy sweep because tonight's garbage disposal is just getting started. Deep inside the derelict facility, dozens of innocent kids are clustered together. Dominating the room is a sinister, carved obelisk pulsing with dark energy, clearly the epicenter of their occult madness. Standing right next to it, 2 mid-bosses are shooting the breeze, whining about blowing high-tier magical materials on mere children. The crimson-haired dude is grinning like an idiot, already daydreaming about the fat stack of cash, waiting for him once the blood ritual drops. Meanwhile, his massive Cyclops partner does not care about the money. He is just thirsty for raw, unadulterated power. The holy water wakes them up, but their little chat gets completely derailed. Our boy simply steps out of the pitch black, demanding the rundown on their entire operation. Panic hits the thugs instantly. The redhead scrambles, desperately trying to unholster his piece. He levels the steel straight at the intruder. This clown actually aims at Liu Yu, fully convinced one single blast will drop him. Big mistake. One of the MC's shadows literally detaches itself, lunging at the thug out of nowhere. The goon gets absolutely flattened against the concrete. Meanwhile, our guy just stands there, watching the show like it is a Tuesday. Sweating bullets and realizing the MC is not playing around, the bulky dude with the eye patch tries shifting gears. He claims they have 0 static with him, telling our guy to just grab a hostage and bounce. Liu, you claps back instantly. Who said anything about just taking one? The brute growls, warning him to drop the main character act because these captives are marked by some heavy hitters. Unfazed, our boy demands the exact coordinates of this so-called elite squad. He is ready to wipe them off the map. Out of nowhere, the bald thug starts mutating. His body twists into absolute nightmare fuel. Watching the freak show unfold, the MC clocks exactly what is happening. It is a trash tier ritual. The process completely deep fries the user's brain, morphing them into a rabid monster with zero thoughts left. Fully lost to the sauce, the beast shrieks that he will steal the MC's breath away. He wants him to taste the pure panic of choking on empty space. Our boy does not even flinch. He just side-eyes one of those mysterious orbs, looking low-key intrigued. The mutant closes the gap in a flash, roaring that dodging is impossible. He promises this is the absolute finale for our cocky protagonist, but our guy stays entirely locked in and boots up his hidden system. The beast throws a massive haymaker, and the MC swats it away like it is nothing but a gentle breeze. The mutated lackey smirks hard. He is fully convinced the intense heat will vaporize his purple ooze, sparking a lethal smog to choke our boy out instantly. Plot twist. That hyped-up poison cloud never even spawns. The MC just laughs at the absolute delusion. He tells the freak to check his own palms before throwing a victory party. Reality hits the monster like a truck. Lou's flames are built different, and they are already chewing through his flesh. Thrashing around in pure panic, he tries to extinguish the blaze, but nothing works. Our MC leans in, demanding the intel. Where exactly are these elusive shadow thieves crashing? The Human Torch begs for mercy, crying and swearing on everything that he is completely out of the loop. He bawls his eyes out, pleading to be spared. The sheer intensity of those dark flames is literally erasing whatever sanity he has left. Seconds later, the threat is reduced to a pile of ash on the concrete. Our MC just shrugs, wondering if the dude actually knew nothing, or if he preferred getting unalived over snitching. Pivoting instantly, our guy locks eyes on the redhead. He tells him to quit the possum act. Closing the distance, he drops a heavy warning. If he does not want to catch the exact same heat, his mouth better start moving. Completely terrified, the thug breaks down in tears. He swears to spill every single detail, begging our boy to keep those infernal flames back. Cutting to the chase, our guy demands the exact coordinates of the Shadow Syndicate. The clock is ticking, and his patience is literally at zero. Shaking, the redhead admits that absolutely nobody in their right mind hunts for the eye thieves, but he drops a bombshell. Their current business partners? They belong to the Primordial Darkness cult. That name actually catches Liu Yu off guard. He vaguely remembers hearing about those hardcore fanatics way back when. His mental database immediately pulls up their file. These cultists are obsessed with eternal silence and ultimate truth, bowing down to some freaky deity of pure ruin. Rumor has it their god uses a silver key to unlock mythic gateways. But just knowing too much about it is enough to shatter your mental health. Sure, they act all zen on the surface, but deep down, these absolute psychos want to drag the whole globe into an endless blackout. Pressing for facts, the MC questions how the thug connected the dots from just a basic statue, and what the deal is with hoarding these kids. The lackey promises his intel is solid. Aside from the edgelord black robes, every single cultist rocks a super weird red scar right on their dominant hand. But right before the snitch can drop any more lore, a stealth attack clips him from the shadows. Game over, just like that. Without blinking, our guy engulfs the body in his dark fire, leaving nothing but dust behind. Staying tactical, he ducks down to swipe the burners off the thugs. Pinging these devices might just bait out their backup. Suddenly, a faint rustle catches his ear. Someone is out there trying to play stealth mode, but they are failing miserably against his maxed out senses. Slapping on his trademark eerie smiling mask, our boy speaks into the dark. He taunts that his hidden guest clearly loves playing with their food. Remaining fully locked in, he secretly boots up his system interface one more time, ready for anything. He exhales a heavy sigh. Honestly, getting judged before they even officially meet? That is a 0-star review in his book. On cue, a mysterious girl pops out of the shadows, dropping the most upbeat, bubbly greeting ever. Spotting the very specific key pendant resting on her chest, Liu Yu connects the dots. Has the darkness cult already crashed the party to snatch the kids for their twisted ceremony? But the girl just tilts her head, giving him a totally blank stare, like she does not speak a word of his language. Completely ignoring his heavy interrogation, she playfully swings the necklace right in front of his face, teasing him with a cheeky question of her own. Catching our boy eyeing her drip, she literally just yeets the jewelry right at him without a second thought. Consider it a gift, she shrugs. But mid-air, a literal shadow servant materializes out of nowhere and snatches the necklace mid-flight. Liu Yu gives the icy piece a serious ocular pat-down, visibly exhaling, when he confirms there are 0 curses or nasty magic traps attached. The mysterious girl, though, is absolutely shook by his shadowy sidekick. She's dying to know how he whipped up a minion so flawlessly human. Our MC? He just hits her with a flat. Are you in that cult or what? Her response is wild. She thought the cult uniform was low-key a vibe, so she knocked out a random member and straight up stole her fit. Talk about killer fashion. She even flexes about customizing the look, throwing in accessories from rival sects just to make the dark cult aesthetic pop. Liu Yu is doing the math in his head. She is either absolutely unhinged or terrifyingly overpowered to be treating deadly syndicates like her personal thrift store. Waving off his suspicion, she promises he is perfectly safe. Apparently, she has zero interest in dudes anyway, so he is off the menu for now. Her real obsession? Ripping off that creepy, smiling mask to see what he is actually hiding underneath. She lunges, a complete blur, but our MC effortlessly sidesteps, deadpanning that he is just rocking a tragically basic face. Nothing to write home about, he claims. Then, without missing a beat, he points and asks, "Yo, who is creeping in the shadows?" Hook, line, and sinker. She falls for the oldest trick in the history of tricks, whipping around only to find empty air. By the time she turns back, our MC has ghosted. Honestly, she is low-key impressed, smirking that the dude is slipperier than greased lightning. Bam! The doors suddenly get kicked in, and a tactical SWAT-style unit floods the room. "Nobody move!" echoes through the hall. But as the dust settles, the squad captain and her rookie sidekick freeze in total confusion. Where the heck are the bad guys? There is literally just this one weirdly dressed girl standing there. Weapons raised, they bark at her to back away from the casualties and demand an immediate, peaceful surrender. It clicks. That masked jerk completely framed her to take the fall for this bloodbath. While he pulled a Houdini, she is left holding the bag. The officers go in blazing, but she does not even flinch. With a bored sigh, she simply points a single finger. Space itself starts to warp and tear around her hand, and two massive vortexes rip open, effortlessly swallowing every single ounce of the squad's heavy firepower, like an absolute black hole. Reality check for the cops. They are dealing with a top-tier spatial manipulator, but instead of fighting back, our chaotic girl drops her guard. She puts on the ultimate innocent act, asking why nobody believes she was just window shopping. The rookie guy is absolutely furious at the disrespect, but his captain? She is totally buying it. Flipping the switch from deadly to dramatic, the girl sighs heavily, spilling the tea that she just got brutally dumped. The female cop is instantly invested. Gossip over duty, right? The mysterious girl dramatically points at the lingering shadowy residue on the floor, claiming it is her toxic, insanely powerful ex-boyfriend's handiwork. Hearing this, the cops immediately connect it to the infamous King in Yellow, who wrecked the black market. Oh, she knows him, intimately. Playing the tragic heroine role to perfection, she tearfully whispers that she absolutely cannot dox him, insisting she just wants to fiercely protect her man from the shadows. Wiping a fake tear, she begs them to run a classified ad, just in case they ever capture the guy in the smiling mask. And with that, she dips into her void portal, leaving the female cop literally waving goodbye. The captain loudly promises to keep an eye out for her toxic ex. Naturally, her rookie cousin violently facepalms, delivering a swift chop to her head. For being so gullible with a prime suspect, she just rubs her head, roasting him for having zero romantic intuition. A total red flag of a guy, according to her. But beneath the banter, the rookie starts sweating. The crazy girl's narrative actually lines up perfectly, connecting the King in Yellow's chaotic energy with her description of an arrogant powerhouse. Suddenly, it clicks, and absolute terror hits the rookie. What if this masked lunatic is a prodigy, or worse, the direct heir to a terrifying, untouchable legacy bloodline? Knees weak, he genuinely contemplates if he is about to get permanently silenced for stumbling onto some elite underground conspiracy. Meanwhile, his captain is just screaming that she is docking his pay if he doesn't snap out of it. Smash cut back to our boy, Liu Yu. He is casually strolling down the dead, neon-lit streets, mentally piecing the night together. Suddenly, his boots grind to a halt. He is definitely being tailed, and by someone who is painfully garbage at stealth. Speaking to the empty street, he roasts his stalker for being embarrassingly slow. "Cat got your tongue?" He smirks. Holding up the gifted pendant, he openly mocks them. Did they really think he wouldn't sense a basic tracking spell on the bling? Right from the jump, out steps the crazy fashionista, snatching back her jewelry. She pouts, calling him an absolute buzzkill for ruining her perfectly scripted jump scare. Liu Yu isn't having it. He claps back that her master plan involved the most clunky, amateur hour tracking magic he has ever seen. A total boomer tactic that wouldn't catch a rookie slipping. Internally, though, he is highly amused. He half jokes to himself that if he kept staring, she might literally strip down and hand over her stolen fit, but nah. He humbly admits his riz probably isn't quite on that level. Shrugging off the banter, the chaotic girl pivots the conversation entirely. Does he want a VIP pass to hunting down those elusive shadow thieves? Because she allegedly has all the right underground plugs. Alarm bells instantly ring in Liu Yu's head. Realizing this is a high-stakes test of his motives, our guy throws on his best poker face and plays it ice cold. Our boy isn't falling for her little traps. When she hints at finding a cozy, private spot to chat, our MC immediately slams the door on that idea. Keeping it brutally honest, he basically gives her an ultimatum. She can either drop the intel right here and now, or she can kick rocks before his last nerve snaps. Her eyes totally light up. She hypes up his razor-sharp intuition, dramatically pouting as she asks if he'd seriously just let her die in a place like this. Lu Yu claps back, telling her the whole scheme was painfully obvious. He drops a cold truth bomb, reminding her that even pawns on a chessboard have their own hidden agendas. The girl admits she is absolutely itching to see what he's hiding under that mask. Ignoring her flirting, our dude demands to know if she's going to talk, or if he should just head out and catch some Z's, totally brushing off her whining about him ruining the vibe. Leaning in close, she suddenly switches gears and drops some heavy lore about a newly discovered dragon egg, hinting that its mother's bloodline is completely off the charts. He connects the dots, realizing the mother dragon's raw power must absolutely dwarf the father's, even though the dude was sitting at the legendary Bright Moon tier. Noticing his deadpan silence, she tilts her head, wondering if her tea was way too weak, or if he was already one step ahead of her. That's when she drops the real nuke. This egg's family tree traces back to an unknown entity, a monster so terrifying that people won't even breathe its name out loud. On the outside, our MC is totally unfazed, but inside, he is absolutely reeling, thinking this dragon dad must have been completely unhinged to mess with a literal god. His brain pulls up the wildest image ever. He pictures an ant getting busy with an elephant, creating some cursed, glitch in the Matrix hybrid that breaks all the rules. Snapping back to reality, Lu Yu grasps the sheer scale of the threat. We are talking about cosmic beings holding god-tier firepower, and anything tied to them practically screams global conspiracy. Suspicious, he instantly questions where she dug up this classified dirt, demanding to know how her crew managed to snag such hyper-specific details about a top-secret, lethal anomaly. Without missing a beat, she flashes a confident smirk and claims she knows the whole story because she was literally front row for it. She dives deeper, describing a severed finger from some ancient deity pulsing with raw, abyssal energy before it was finally locked down. Turns out, she was actually pulling guard duty on that exact seal. That is, until a rogue Bright Moon tier dragon completely smashed through the restricted zone and swiped the cursed relic. She explains that the artifact totally brainwashed the giant beast, tricking it into sacrificing its own life in a dark ritual. The goal? Creating the ultimate vessel for a terrifying reincarnation. Our MC is just standing there, glitching out, trying to process how a dude dragon somehow laid an egg solo. The whole story sounds like an absolute fever dream. Making things even messier, she reveals that some underground cultists snatched the egg to pull off their own twisted summoning. Cue a massive turf war. Multiple heavy-hitting factions jumped into the fray, and the whole alliance immediately crumbled into a toxic mess of betrayals. Thanks to that massive battle royale, a legendary thief boss spotted the perfect opening to swipe the prize, and completely vanished into a dense, foggy forest. Catching that crucial breadcrumb, our boy feels a massive surge of hype. Why? Because he finally has a solid coordinate to track this criminal mastermind down. But the vibe instantly gets heavy. The girl locks eyes with his mask, cutting the small talk to ask what his actual endgame is. Playing it cool, she decides to drop her own intro first. Hitting a super elegant stance, she finally reveals her name is Shen Wuyu. She tosses the question back at him, asking for his name so they can team up for the raid. Meanwhile, further down the block, a purple-haired girl casually struts over to our MC. He's already posted up waiting for her, smirking quietly behind his disguise. Remembering an old-school street rule about flipping your name on the road to dodge bad karma, he smoothly introduces himself as Yu Lu. Beaming right back at him, she doesn't waste a single second before dropping that she needs a massive solid. Crossing her arms like a boss, she proposes a team-up to wipe out the eye thieves and snatch that legendary egg. But honestly, he admits he is completely fed up with this whole egg drama that he has been dragged into for literal years. He points out the artifact is basically running on fumes, though that definitely doesn't make it safe to mess with. Throwing him some major side-eye, she directly asks what his actual endgame is. Locking in with laser focus, she just puts it all out there. She wants to purchase one of his shadow summons, telling him to drop a blank check number. This totally throws him off. He asks why she doesn't just hit up the official shadow sect if she wants a minion that badly. With his little monsters practically vibrating with anxiety on the floor, she sighs and complains that the sect's price tags are straight-up extortion. Plus, those guys lock their soul contracts behind super strict family bloodlines. Zero chance they would ever sell their secrets to some random outsider. Taking a step into his personal space, she points out that he is a totally different vibe, especially since he is rocking 3 extra summons, and she desperately needs a ride-or-die bodyguard to survive a seriously toxic death zone. Glancing down at his creepy little squad, he mentally crunches the numbers. They are dirt cheap to make, so tossing one away wouldn't even dent his wallet. Still, he can't stop obsessing over whether treating his summons like mercenaries might permanently damage his soul. Putting up a totally innocent front, he hits her with a hard pass, leaving her practically bawling her eyes out. Since the easy route just totally crashed and burned, she abruptly claps her hands. Pivoting hard, she pitches a straight-up alliance, realizing his monsters aren't for sale. To sweeten the pot, she reveals her deadly destination is actually ground zero for the eye thieves, concealing the ultimate cheat code to living forever. Flashing a sly grin, our guy points out that being stuck alive for eternity honestly sounds like a massive curse, not a flex. Still, his curiosity spikes, and he demands the coordinates to this hidden spot. Dodging the question, she asks if she kept him waiting. He plays it cool, claiming he was just taking a random stroll through the neon-lit district anyway. She completely sees right through his bluff. Visibly ticked off, she snaps that he has zero clearance to be lurking around her turf. The tension instantly skyrockets. Stepping right up into his personal space, the girl locks eyes with him, serving a lethal glare, and name-drops the Almighty himself, testing if that divine threat will finally put him in check. Aiming a finger at the heavens, she gloats that he walked straight into her snare again. She challenges him on who actually pulls the strings of fate, warning him that the higher-ups are about to dispatch some heavy hitters to erase him. Our hero just smirks. He fires back that without this legendary history, mountain anchoring everything, watching society crumble is basically premium entertainment, while the rest of the oblivious NPCs scramble for survival. Throwing her arms wide, the woman screams that once the ultimate shadows drop, the entire planet is going to choke on the pure, suffocating agony hanging in the atmosphere. She orders him to keep his comms open. Blowing him a mocking farewell kiss, she fades backward into the literal void. Gripping her gadget, her sidekick mutters that the whole lip lock thing was majorly awkward, but our guy brushes it off, promising to craft her a custom ring instead, exposing that the dramatic exit was literally just a fake ritual designed to scam some easy cash. From a distance, she tosses a wave, signaling the perimeter check is officially wrapped, and shouts at him to collect his bounty. Our dude rolls his eyes, convinced she is just trying to emotionally manipulate him. Watching a grunt disintegrate into dust, she realizes this tiny beast's defense stats are genuinely off the charts. Her expression goes dead serious. She claims the title of his official protector, stating they are bound by the same cursed hometown and share a massive score to settle. Smash cut to a totally different zip code. Inside, a menacing, gothic throne room, a shady syndicate circles a massive round table. A crimson-haired villain carelessly flips through a grimoire, while a squad of cloaked cultists sweat bullets watching his every move. One of the lackeys is visibly shaking, utterly terrified of the incoming disaster. Snapping his limit, the fiery-haired boss absolutely obliterates the desk with his book. His lethal glare sweeps the room as he demands to know if their flawless operation actually tanked, and how, out of 40 elite rookies, not a single soul survived to drop a report. One of the robed goons stammers out a pathetic defense, crying that the King in Yellow's faction crashed their party and completely dismantled their entire strategy. In a blur of pure rage, the boss snaps. He casually stomps the groveling minion into the pavement, flattening him like an insect. Cut to the aftermath. The redhead is literally lounging on a throne made of his shredded followers, treating the massacre like a casual Tuesday. Bathed in the neon glow of wicked spell circles, he sits pretty, showing absolute zero remorse. Seething, the bishop trashes his entire crew as worthless garbage. He demands to know who this overhyped King in Yellow actually thinks he is messing with. A massive, blood-red arcane sigil ignites across the room, locking the survivors inside its menacing glow. Running on pure, unfiltered spite, the bishop vows to hunt down this mysterious king and rip his mask off personally. Miles away, while our guy is deep in a zen state, a massive cyclops phantom manifests right behind his back, its single blue eye radiating deadly energy. The spectral growls a final warning. If he ever crosses its path again, the penalty is going to be fatal. Ripping a hole straight through a trippy, clock-filled dimension, the creature bypasses the laws of physics entirely. Soaring over a pitch-black, abandoned metropolis, the monstrosity cuts through the clouds like a grim reaper. Down below, a silver-haired dude tracks the shadow, instantly recognizing the dark cult's notorious bishop, recklessly flexing his power inside strictly classified federal airspace. Chuckling like a true psychopath, the spirit guarantees their showdown is dropping any second now. But suddenly, a blinding gold aura hits the creature out of nowhere, making it flinch. It is a total ambush. A literal mechanical yellow insect, rocking gears for eyeballs, hovers right in its face, blocking the lane. Laughing off the disrespect, the beast dares this tiny metallic pest to show what it has got. In response, the golden critter revs up an ear-piercing frequency and erupts into a blinding supernova, staring the giant phantom down without blinking. The shadowy giant freezes in pure panic, completely baffled. It cannot fathom how the king in yellow is still standing strong after burning through a ridiculous fortune of mana. Boom! Surrounded by an epic halo of light, the temporal grasshopper triggers an instant evolution mid-battle. Vibing like it just hit the jackpot, the insect basically smirks, sending a silent thank you for the free energy buffet. Absolutely losing its mind, the phantom screeches, forbidding this tiny bug from treating it like a joke. Chanting a forbidden dark star technique, the beast forcefully yanks both of them straight into the chaotic astral plane. The grasshopper gives zero craps. It lets out a vicious hiss, squaring up against the behemoth right in the dead center of the cosmic void. Spotting a fake blind spot, the creature roars its victory speech, swearing it is about to expose the king in yellow's real identity once and for all. But in a massive twist, the phantom's single eye violently snaps shut, completely short-circuiting the entire clash in a dead silence. While the rest of the world stays completely in the dark, this colossal monster finds itself drifting through a mind-bending cosmic void, and the vibe is completely off. It's absolutely nothing like the usual mental landscapes it hacks into. Glaring at this harsh, ash-colored wasteland, the creature realizes this dead zone perfectly matches its shadowy cult's ultimate endgame. You know, the whole reset the universe to zero prophecy. Flashing back to those apocalyptic doomsday legends, this beast starts hyping itself up, thinking it accidentally hit the jackpot, and crossed over into the sacred dimension its evil faction has been hunting down forever. Believing it just touched down in absolute paradise, the monster decides to track down its hidden deity, flexing that it's about to drop by for an immediate meet and greet. Ripping a massive roar, the beast launches itself through the uncharted abyss, absolutely buzzing with adrenaline. Boom! It crashes right into this mountain-sized, nightmare silhouette absolutely packed with razor-sharp teeth. The monster nearly collapses in pure terror, screaming about what kind of freakish anomaly it just bumped into. Right on cue, a deadly system alert drops. No mere mortal gets a free pass to stare directly into the eyes of a nameless existence. Slammed point blank by some crushing, unseen gravity, the creature drops, thrashing and screaming in absolute agony out in the middle of the cosmic dead zone. Engulfed by a blinding, holy flash, its physical form begins violently shattering into dust until basically zero trace remains. Smashing cut back to reality, our main boy is clutching his grasshopper, exhaling a massive breath. He is beyond grateful, his eyes snapped open fast enough to drag the little dude straight into the editing interface. Meanwhile, the bishop is sprawled on the concrete, absolutely obliterated, kicking himself for being this brutally slow to read the room. It finally clicks in his brain that he just picked a fight with a straight-up forbidden god. Hitting rewind on the timeline by exactly 2 minutes, that massive beast was still dominating the skyline, blotting out the sun and projecting raw nightmare fuel over the entire city. A sidekick hits up Lord Lee, asking if they should dial up Becca for backup, but gets completely shut down. A tangent-level clash like this? Way above a rookie's pay grade. Totally missing the point, the agent argues that the king in yellow is technically a fresh face too, heavily doubting he can survive a one-on-one against a veteran bishop. Gazing up at the night sky, Lord Lee drops a massive claim. Unless his brain is completely short-circuiting, this matchup is a guaranteed wrap. Chilling right there on the rooftop, the duo stays glued to the skyward Leviathan, while the big boss prematurely calls game over. Sprinting through the neon alleys, our purple-haired sniper is sweating bullets, stressing that the king in yellow is about to get wiped off the map without a secret weapon. Going against a Grandmaster Summoner is no joke. Peering down her sniper scope, she already seals his fate, locking in a hard loss. In her mind, some ancient fossil that already took an L back in the day definitely lacks the firepower to survive this modern clash. Tracking the action through her lenses, she is mentally prepping for the absolute bloodbath about to drop over the next couple of days. Vultures are going to swarm from everywhere, violently battling over whatever legendary loot and shattered relics the king leaves in his wake. Out of nowhere, the monster's massive eye warps into a spinning, neon blue vortex, the ultimate, undeniable proof that it just got completely packed up. Disintegrating hundreds of feet in the air, the creature shrieks in pure horror, finally grasping that it just challenged a walking glitch in the universe, a literal cosmic taboo. The whole city loses its mind. The 3 spectators, plus some random shadow assassin that just materialized out of thin air, scream in absolute shock at this game-breaking presence. Mind completely blown, the sniper girl realizes this dude isn't just strong, he's a walking, breathing deity, a boss who literally spawns his own reality field wherever he steps. Having this powerhouse on her squad basically guarantees their raid on the Divine Temple is a free win. Zoning out, she obsessively brainstorms how on earth Yulu finessed a partnership with a heavyweight throwing around this much god-tier energy. Rushing down a neon-lit corridor, Lord Lee is genuinely shook by the cosmic being's insane generosity and how it casually buffed his stats to the next level. He starts analyzing what this entity could possibly want with Hongju. Pivoting to his agent, he barks an order to mobilize the elite task force by dawn, fiercely determined to unmask exactly who just claimed the king in Yellow's legendary throne. Meanwhile, groveling by the crushed bishop's boots, his cult minions nervously whisper, absolutely terrified, checking if their supreme leader even survived the blast. Convulsing violently on the tiles, the battered bishop commands them to flag the king in yellow as a code-red global hazard. He demands they alert the pope immediately. This guy literally possesses the ultimate fusion ability. Choking on a blood-curdling scream, the cult leader suddenly gets engulfed by his squad's dark aura, desperately trying to stitch his shredded life force back together. Screaming at them to back off, he erupts, blasting every single follower across the room with a brutal sonic shockwave. Not even wasting a second, the humiliated bishop sprints down an escape tunnel, absolutely booking it out of the danger zone like his life depends on it. Dropping to his knees, he desperately prays to his celestial overlord, pleading for a divine save to block this aggressive rot chewing through his system. Kneeling before a mirror blade jammed into a stone altar, a glowing azure wave washes over the villain, slowly knitting his brutalized flesh back into shape. Soaking up that sweet recovery buff, he accepts the bitter reality. He's going to have to camp out in this hideout for a hot minute to restore his health points. Chilling on his mattress, our main character is having a full-blown conversation with his pet grasshopper, hyping up the little guy to see if he finally hit max level. He wants to know if devouring that stolen prophecy energy actually triggered an evolution. Cradling the bug, he is seriously weirded out by this speedrun progression, considering his system interface specifically claimed the insect needed a solid 365 days to reach adulthood. Setting his tiny sidekick down, our protagonist, embracing the unknown, our guy realizes he needs to move completely under the radar to keep his secret identity locked down tight. A smirk crosses his face as a freaky, monster-faced balloon materializes right out of this tiny gadget. Pointing at the hovering orb, the MC treats it like a living, breathing pet. He launches the balloon across the entire room, watching it careen wildly through the air in a totally chaotic trajectory. Moments later, it nosedives straight into the mattress and completely pancakes, looking like it just took a massive L. But then, a sudden neon glow pulses through the rubber, reviving it as it levitates right back up. The MC playfully roasts the little dude, warning him that against a genuine assassin, he would be absolutely cooked by now. Now juggling two of these floaty guys, he choreographs a mid-air dance, while his pet grasshopper casually spectates the chaos from the high ground of the sheets. Literal gears grind behind the insect's eyes as it remains absolutely motionless, laser-focused on every single bob and weave of the targets. Suddenly, the bug launches itself like a literal missile at one of the floating spheres, leaving our MC staring, having zero idea what kind of unhinged mission this little dude is on. But the second the grasshopper starts aggressively chomping on the rubber, the main guy completely loses it. He screams that grasshoppers and spiders are a lethal combo, begging the bug to drop its late-night snack. It is a straight-up jump scare, watching this insect devour the spider-shaped balloon. But out of nowhere, the entire target starts quaking violently. It starts radiating this super eerie, blinding aura. The makeshift cocoon rattles so intensely it looks primed to detonate, or mutate into something absolutely insane at any given moment. The sphere violently contorts right in front of the MC's eyes, and he just stands there paralyzed, tightly gripping the surviving balloon that safely landed nearby. Meanwhile, the grasshopper casually wipes its mouth and actually speaks up, looking incredibly relieved, claiming it feels a million times better after purging all that chaotic energy. Delivering perfect comedic timing, something forcefully shatters the cocoon's shell from the inside out, ripping the entire structure to shreds. Shrapnel scatters across the floorboards, and emerging from the wreckage is this tiny, bizarre spider, unleashing these wildly high-pitched eek-eek noises. Our guy is literally cracking up, questioning what kind of unhinged arachnid actually squeaks like a chew toy. Bending down to scoop up the shattered casing, his mind is completely blown by how insanely microscopic this new creature is. Squinting to get a better look, he spots a humanoid silhouette right smack in the center of the debris, a literal miniature spider-woman. A massive jolt of panic hits him. His brain is scrambling, debating if he is looking at a human-faced arachnid, a mythological Jorogumo, or straight-up demonic spawn. Drenched from head to toe in this glowing yellow slime, the tiny entity looks utterly clueless, sitting right in the center of his palm. Flashing a soft expression, the protagonist offers to get her cleaned up, but the bite-sized monster just stares back, serving a blank stare that screams she is entirely lost. He gently wipes the grime away with his fingertip, telling her to chill for a second, because the spa treatment isn't quite finished yet. Across the room, the grasshopper is physically vibrating with rage, either incredibly salty with jealousy, or just absolutely furious that a new roommate dropped in. Hitting his limit, the MC instantly snaps and scolds the insect, dragging it for using the shadow spider's egg as a personal trash can. recklessly dumping leftover time-bending magic and dark hexes straight into it, with zero hesitation. Refusing to back down, the grasshopper dive bombs right onto his hand, fully prepared to throw hands with the baby arachnid. But the exact instant it lands, the Spider-Woman unleashes another high-pitched squeak and aggressively flexes a literal pocket watch directly in the arrogant bug's face. In a cinematic flash, the watch starts ticking. Internal gears grind, and the very flow of time aggressively shifts to a completely distorted rhythm. Our guy instantly clocks the bizarre atmosphere. Every single muscle feels like lead, dragging in extreme slow motion the moment that artifact activates. Hoisting her microscopic arms high, the Spider-Woman triggers a blinding flash from the dial, absolutely dominating the temporal field around them. Clutching her new weapon, she lets out an exhausted peep, looking completely gassed out from dropping her ultimate move. Recognizing an opening, the grasshopper goes on the offensive and blasts a lethal yellow laser straight at her skull, but she instantly claps back with a ferocious hiss. Watching this entire miniature war unfold, the MC realizes these familiars might seem basic, but their combo attacks synchronize flawlessly to create an absolute nightmare for any future enemies. Adrenaline officially spiking, he starts throwing hand signs and shouting tactical commands, fully transforming into a battle commander for his new squad. But right at peak hype, he completely fumbles his footing, wipes out backward, and screams out Xiaobai's name in pure panic, likely trying to summon the floaty guy for backup. His spine violently slams into the mattress, before the camera boldly cuts out to showcase the wider room, highlighting just how wildly tranquil the hideout actually is. Now posted up on the balcony, he spreads his arms wide and inhales the cool air, absorbing every ounce of that peaceful aesthetic. Finally crashing on the sheets, entirely drained, our guy vents about how this entire day was an absolute grind, and the night shift delivered nothing but pure chaos, robbing him of even a single second of precious shut-eye. Hovering right on the edge of consciousness, he remembers he is officially managing a squad of 7 summons now. He urgently needs to secure some gear for Xiaobai tomorrow, but stepping foot inside the black market is off the table if he wants to keep his true identity strictly classified. The protagonist finally blacks out completely against the pillows, dropping a heavy snore, earning some massively deserved recovery time. And curled up right beside his head, the tiny Spider-Woman is already absolutely out cold. Wrapped incredibly tight around that timepiece, the tiny beast is literally defying gravity, hovering dead center over our main guy. It starts pulsing with this sick neon blue aura, straight up flexing its magic, while its master is completely knocked out cold.